MAGA, MAGA. MAGA, MAGA, won't you stop? Take us live. Hi, everybody, and welcome. That's all I had. Better than his one chord diss tracks. How dare you? Some of those were 2 chords. But because I got a little roasted, we're waiting for Lux to join. Hey, MAGA, if you would like to call and chat with us, we want to hear from you. Our phone number, which needs to get put back up, it got removed from the banner. Remember, +1 336 543 2101. 336 543 2101. It is a local American number. You don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to worry about anything. Guitar is ducking under my vocals. Wait, so when I sing it, you don't hear both? MAGA, oh MAGA. I am not a good guitarist, so let's not do the Jimmy Page, Jimi Hendrix, Jimmy Snow thing. That is not true. These are just the chords I've known since high school. Babe, is it cutting out when I'm... What if I turn him up?
No, it doesn't cut out necessarily.
Too loud. That's way too loud. MAGA, MAGA, won't you stop? MAGA, MAGA, you can't be on top. MAGA, MAGA, won't survive the trials. MAGA, MAGA, bunch of pedophiles. MAGA, MAGA, it's time to stop. It's a little too loud now, I think. Why is that F? I don't want that, I don't want that effect on. I didn't mean that to be on. I don't want it at all. Let's switch it back to... Oh my God, so much better. That's what I meant to start it on. I had it on a different. We can go back to double now. MAGA, MAGA, won't you please stop? MAGA, MAGA, you don't belong on top. And when I say that, I mean not even in bed. MAGA, MAGA, we're boycotting head for you. You don't get head anymore? No more head? You just, none of you got head anymore? Period? None? No more? No more? All right, what's up, everybody? How y'all doing? Well, I never claimed to sing in key, so shut up.
Yes, crowd brave.
MAGA, we want to talk to you. You can call us at 336-543-2101. That is the phone number I gave a minute ago, right? I didn't give a different one. Every now and then I'm paranoid that I just give out my personal phone number. So I don't have that number anymore, but there was a call-in show and we cut it out, so I don't think you can find it anyway. But years ago, we added the number every single time. And years ago, I accidentally put my phone number as the banner. And it's only for a few seconds. And I don't think anybody even noticed. But it all worked out. It all worked. Hey, Ari's in chat. How are you, Ari? If I knew you were going to be available, I'd have said you and Luxander should do the show.
Someone did tell me in my chat that I should do one with Ari.
Ari's great. Everybody should do things with Ari.
Yeah.
How does one sing it or speak in key?
Great question.
I think I'm Jimmy Snow. How dare you all? MAGA, look, we're ready to talk to you, and you won't even get a musical roast today if you behave. The Gwen didn't behave when Gwen called in. I don't know if you've heard about the Gwen call yet, but
No.
would not let a person speak. Like, you'd ask any question and just mile a minute, freaking just goes absolutely unhinged, insane. But then at some point said the phrase, "I'm an instrument specialist," and that just, what was I to do?
It's almost like they had $90,000 in musical equipment.
90,000. Now, for them, they're like, she was trying to make the like weirdest, like silliest claim I've ever heard as far as like an argument from authority. That she was Googling numbers because she was claiming that the Latino vote went to Donald Trump in 2024, which it did not. He made tremendous gains, and he had the highest Latino vote for a Republican in a long time. However, he did not win the Latino vote. And anyway, she would say things like, "Oh, look at this. I'm just doing some research," and then trying to like sort of show, I think she was trying to say, and if I say I did research, that means I really did like something important here because I am an instrument specialist and I sell hundreds of thousands of dollars of chemistry instruments. So I think it's hard to track what she thought it was, but I think she thinks that proves she knows how to quote unquote research. And like a MAGA does, she's referring to research as I just Googled and misread a headline. Yeah. Because she was also wrong even about the article. There is, do you have your phone with your Instagrams up?
Again?
There was a pretty good moment that it's like 10 seconds long that I'd like you to see from that call. It's my most recent story on my Instagram right now that I think you would enjoy. Anyway, MAGA, we'd love to talk to you. You know, I was thinking about, I guess I should wait to cue Lux into what I was thinking about.
I think this is funny. And I also heard people talking about this. Nat C for Christian. Yeah, I saw this.
Nationalist Christians. Yeah. Nat C. Gwen called
Whatever
in.
you just said to me with your actual voice, I did not hear.
I was thinking about this, and this could be one of the things, MAGA, we'd be, happy to talk about. Somebody complaining about slow mode in chat, and I almost feel bad because thank you to whoever just did that. So, Olivia just sent out.
I think she was going like, "Oh, are you bothered by slow mode?" And then she was preparing and amping up to do this thing that she just did in Takis also.
Yeah, but then somebody else wrote, "I hate slow mode," and they seem to be one of the people who was missed by the 50 membership. So that is kind of funny. Yeah, I know none of you follow me on IG because no one follows me on IG because I put no effort into actually promoting my IG. I post like once a month over there.
I need to start strategizing my short form.
I'm trying to be better about it. Anyway, something I was thinking about, MAGA, call in. We don't have to talk about the Epstein files. We know you guys are taking a huge L right now, still defending Donald Trump, still defending the Republicans. And we know you don't really want to talk about it because, boy, you guys are whatabouting all the day long. You know this is bad. And that Donald Trump is saying that the files cleared him. And now today is begging people to stop talking about the files and just, it's time to just move on. We told you for years that there was the biggest pedophile ring and there has not been a single additional person convicted, but it's time really to just move on. We need to, it's great things to move on. I've moved on from every marriage I've ever been in. I've moved on from parenting, ever even trying to be a parent, really. And frankly, we just need to move on from the pedophile ring that I ran on exposing. So Donald Trump, really, we know you guys are taking the L on that, so we want to give you other topics you can talk about because I know you guys don't want to. I feel for you that right now it feels impossible to defend Trump, and rather than just not calling, I'd rather talk to you about other things because I know you guys aren't. I mean, if one of you is in chat and you're like, I'll defend Trump, I'll defend the Epstein files, I'll defend that he obstructed, not just like didn't pursue the release of the Epstein files. Remember that Donald Trump actively tried to stop them from being released. Okay? Remember that, guys. Remember. We don't have to talk about the Epstein files. I was thinking about this today, and I don't want to go too much into detail because I don't want to give away necessarily the conversation we'd be having. MAGA, conservatives, even just capitalists who think that like Obamacare was excellent. It was better than what there was before, because for a short period of time that was true. It arguably also enabled some things that were somewhat worse to happen to a lot of people, but for a period of time that was true. I would love to talk to anybody who wants to continue to defend, not devil's advocate. I don't need devil's advocates, guys.
The devil has enough advocates.
Right.
We don't
We
need
need to change that phrase so people understand what they're saying. Like, the devil's supposed to be the most evil entity to ever exist according to religious lore, but you wouldn't be like, all right, let me just play Hitler's advocate real quick. Okay, guys? I don't believe this, but let me just play Hitler's advocate. Right. Nick Fuentes he's already out playing Hitler's advocate for everybody. We don't need you to play Hitler's advocate. I would like MAGA, I would like somebody right wing to explain to me why we should keep healthcare markets private. And I would also like to contend to some degree, I now feel actually, and I think I can back this up pretty well, I would actually go so far as to say that it is now, because there is so much information, because it has been done so much, and I can go into further detail if somebody cares to act about it, I would actually say the government is violating the Constitution by not giving us universal health care. I actually have an argument for that now, that it's actually a violation, that the government, that the presidencies time after time after time, that previously it would have been more of a violation from ignorance, not realizing it. Up until at least a few decades ago. And now we can actually say that they are violating the Constitution by not.
Was there a constitutional amendment that you feel like, or was it an interpretation?
You know what? I'm going to say it violates the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness clause.
I don't disagree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Like healthcare is required for living purposes. And also, like, taking that to a slightly further extreme as far as liberty is concerned, like providing mobility devices or like not doing it, like restricts people's liberty.
I'm going so far as to say, like, it's not just a matter of, so they're just not happening to do these things. And that technically life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is a right established in the Declaration of Independence, not in the Constitution itself.
Yeah, but I mean, they're still considered founding documents that we cite them in all these different situations. And it's not just a founding document; it's a founding principle of the United States. Yeah.
And so, anyway, yeah, that I'm not even just saying like they're failing because it would be nice. I would actually say I think I have, and we can talk it out. I think I have an argument for they are actually in a contentious way trying to withhold that right from us, that we have the information to show that that is the case. But otherwise, we don't even have to go down that line. I just want a MAGA, a capitalist, a conservative to call in and explain to me why should we not have universal health care? And I'm not saying why should we not have a public option. I'm saying why should there even be privatized health insurance? Basically at all. Why should the government not be maintaining that? I would love to hear from you. Call in at 336-543-2101. You can also call in on any of the many other issues we like to speak about. Luxander is here. It is Thursday. If you would like to call the trans complaint line, the complaints you have about trans people, we can go ahead and explore their validity, whether or not you believe trans people deserve care. You can call in at 336-543-2101. 2101-336-543-2101. Thank you, YouTuber Grudge, for gifting memberships. It does give our mods more to do, but we still love it. If that is with the assumption that that does help people bypass the need for
the slow mode. Yeah,
the slow mode.
But it helps the channel. So thank you very much.
It does. Yes, we love that.
We are socialists. We share that love around.
Indeed. The love is shared, not the money. So my socialism's only in the form of love. But I do redistribute no, that's not a joke. That is a joke rather. I kid. Memberships are also paid out on profit share. Okay. 336-543-2101. The phone is open. We've had some people try to call in and then bail. We've had somebody call in that I'm pretty sure was a joke call. Is that probably what happened with that call I saw earlier?
Kind of looks like it.
Luthian?
What?
Was the last caller a troll?
Yeah, the last one you would have screened. Okay, just wanted like a crazy off-topic. Okay, well, I'm not even going to engage it. I'm not even going to engage it.
They should have called Takis, you know?
Sure.
We have Takis for those kind of calls specifically. Will Cortez call? I fucking hope not. I did find out that he has an actual speech impediment and like a disability, and he isn't just drunk every time. So I do feel like we're just beating up a toddler whenever he calls.
We found that out, or he has made that claim?
I asked him, and he
I don't
said
think
that.
that's finding
and
out.
it was
there's been varying levels
so.
of slurring. There's been varying levels of, like, just listening to the interactions, there's enough difference that it does still sound like different levels of...
He did claim to be disabled in like that way where he was trying to justify that his manhood is predicated, or that manhood in general is predicated on being physically stronger. And so he was like, well, maybe I can't do those things because of my disability. It's like, I don't know if he was just doing a hypothetical, but it did sound like he was talking about himself being disabled. So I don't know, but it fucking
Listen, guys,
sucked.
I'm anti-bullying, but as far as the list goes, I'll take care of... Let's stop bullying fascist last. You know?
Yeah.
As far as the list goes, they're the lowest priority. 336-543-2101, 336-543-2101. MAGA, we want to talk to you and hear your explanations for why. I also want to hear you explain to me Donald Trump's plan for healthcare and why it will be better than Obamacare, because according to him, it will be. I'd love to hear that. I'd love to hear your defense that we should not have Medicare for all, that the health insurance industry is a good thing, that Luigi did a tremendous evil.
Yeah, justify to me having a scalper middleman in the healthcare system. That would be great. I would love to understand what the point of that is.
Justify to me that a person should be able to make money on the basis of whether or not people do or don't get sick, and then increase the amount of money by tightening the rules in ways where they complicate it so that less and less of those sicknesses even actually get covered.
Yeah. Justify for me why insulin costs like hundreds of dollars a month when it costs like literally a couple dollars to manufacture.
Yeah.
Remember Martin Shkreli?
I think that last message deleted in chat might have been an accident. Dude, Martin Shkreli, my goodness. MAGA, are you here and are you listening? What has MAGA done for you this week?
If you're not MAGA, hit the like button because we might get more callers if you do that.
What has been good about the Donald Trump presidency? What has changed the status quo? What has been an improvement of life since the Biden presidency, for example, that is directly tied to things that Donald Trump is doing? We want to hear from you. 336-543-2101, 336-543-2101. And if you do need me to sing you songs of sweet nothings, maybe on request, but you're going to have to put in a huge super chat for that.
I see a troll in the chat. We got a phone number. Call in.
Are they a troll? I don't even see where they are.
You guys sound vaccinated.
Call
us. We're here.
You know what? That sounds like the kind of thing an unvaccinated person would say.
Explain to me the science of vaccines and why it's terrible. Would love to be schooled.
So when people ask, Jimmy, are you or the mods, I don't know, what do you mean by the mods, taking non-opposition calls? It would very much depend, but we never are doing general questions that are like, I don't know, silly. And
we're not here to shoot the shit.
Right. And we definitely aren't open micing. It's not a like, hey, you guys should. Anyway, you talk you solicit calls while I get a poll going.
Let's see, what else? What else have I seen? Oh, there was just another study that just came out about trans people and how trans women do not have an advantage in sports. We were looking through that during TACUS earlier. I haven't read it in full detail, but you would think that 20 years of trans people being able to participate at the Olympic level and all these studies that we keep seeing coming out, you would think that there would be some actual evidence that allowing trans women to participate in women's sports is bad. We would see, I think, by now that it's bad. So if you have something more than your little fifis and your little opinions, if you have some facts to back up your feelings about the trans women in sports argument, we have some juicy new information to delve into on that. But man, there's so many different topics. What else crazy shit has happened recently?
Somebody say Norm should call in. I don't think Norm will ever call in. I literally exposed Norm's new sets of lies about. Somebody pointed out in a comment, I exposed, okay, hey, to this person in chat, I think we're just going to ban you. You get way too, I'm not going to ban you, but you're getting consistently way too fucking horny in chat. And I don't like it.
Go to bed.
Like, you have to stop. It's getting excessive and insane. So you need to stop. Otherwise you're getting a full-on ban.
If someone wants to explain that Trump is fully in his right mind and doesn't have stage 4 dementia, and absolutely isn't shitting himself in the middle of press conferences, that would be, I would love to hear someone justify all of his craziness too.
Somebody had pointed out in the comments that Norm had never rage quit a call before, had never hung up on a call before. And that's how bad he got it last time he called in. Were you on with me with that?
The last time I remember we had Norm was when you played music at him for 25 minutes and we still had to hang up on him. So I guess I didn't get this most recent one.
Don't worry. He got a new song, but he started to claim to have a bachelor's in some sort of, that he was not a bachelor's, first just a degree from Stanford in behavioral evolution. Psychological behavioral evolution or some shit like that. And then he kept using, it was with Jack. And he kept using these specific phrases. Anyway, by the end of it, we revealed he didn't have a degree. Then he started saying courses. He hadn't taken courses. And then it became course. Well, he didn't take a course from Stanford. He took a free course that's on YouTube. And by the way, I kind of doubt he actually watched it. And since he's claiming that it justifies all of his transphobia, he definitely didn't watch it because there's very pro-trans stuff in it. Anyway, that he had watched a course, but he still wasn't backing down that he had this degree. But then he tried to change it like it was a course within my degree. And then try to get him to tell me what kind of degree he has. He didn't understand that I meant associate's, bachelor's, master's, PhD. And so once we finally got there and he understood, he said bachelor's. I asked him if he had a BA or a BS. He said a BS. I asked him, what's BS stand for? And that's when he went, I don't have to stay here and just get it. First he was like, of course I know what BS is. Yes, I know what, and he's like trying to delay for multiple minutes. It seemed like it probably wasn't minutes, but for a while it seemed like he was maybe trying to subtly search in the back, but then I was goading him to try and take his, and anyway, then he ended with the like, I don't have to just stay here and be insulted. So, I don't know that Norm will ever call back again since, he didn't know what, I mean, he already has been exposed with lots of claims that were not true, that were dumb. But he also then tried to bet me money that he has the degree, which he backed off completely when I said, okay, just so you know, when you send me your proof, I'm an employer. I know how to validate it. I will be able to contact Stanford and verify your degree. And then suddenly he didn't want to bet money anymore. He just didn't bring up the money bet at all after that. So yeah, anyway, I do think he has a BS degree of a type, but I don't think it's maybe the one he was saying. Anyway, MAGA, and by the way, if you're watching right now and you have a MAGA friend, you have MAGA people in your life, you know that there are MAGA that you would like to have their beliefs challenged through the art of discussion, you should tell them to give us a call, and we would love to discuss further with them why they believe what they believe, why they are still MAGA, why are they still conservative. Keep in mind, guys, we're not just not MAGA, we're also not liberals, we're leftists, we're socialists. So if you think you can call in and explain to us why MAGA would be better for the world than not just liberalism, than not just Kamala Harris, like, oh my God, she set the bar so high, but that actually it would be better than even socialism. We'd love you to explain it to us, because right now I see a country that isn't working for anybody, no matter which party gets in. Right now we're in a crisis because of an authoritarian ruler trying to also get in, basically become full authoritarian, and very frustrated by the limits. A guy who has shown open hostility to the Constitution multiple times, including this week, when he has been urging Republicans to force the nationalization of elections, which is in the Constitution, that elections are up to the states. He is literally trying to overthrow at least a part of the Constitution. And this is a man who also in the past on True Social posted himself that he is allowed under certain circumstances, basically if he feels about like it, to suspend the Constitution. That's his own words, guys. Like, that's the man. And so we want to know why you think Trump works well for this country, why you think MAGA works well for this country, how you see the agenda of MAGA playing out in a way that uplifts the most people. And I would love, actually more than anything, MAGA, how does your policies fix the disparity of incomes? How would your policies take what is right now the case, where a few people possess most of the wealth, and return it to that most people share the wealth in a way that is fine with you guys, right? In a way that is that 3 people don't have more wealth than over 100 million people in the country combined. How would your policies address that? That's what I want to know.
I really am curious about like Republicans' opinions on SNAP, because I remember last year when we had that like SNAP funding issue, it seemed like we had a lot less momentum for Republicans and conservatives calling into all of the shows that I produce. So it's just like, I think that Republicans, you are hurting in this economy. So why do you continue to support and elect the people who are taking money away from you, the people who are in bed with billionaires? And as Jimmy was saying earlier, it seems as though our government is deliberately impeding our ability to get healthcare because we had these robust subsidies. And where is that money going, y'all? It's going to ICE. It's going to the billionaire buddies. It's going to like Peter Thiel and all of these tech giants who are requesting bailouts because they're shoving all of this money into AI that they are not making back. So, please justify, like, why do you keep voting the way that you keep voting? Are you doing well in this economy? Do you feel secure in your ability to purchase groceries? Or are you now being put in the position where you have to visit the food pantry and you're having to swallow your pride and apply for SNAP benefits and like food stamps and other things that, I guess you deserve it. I guess that when you fall on hard times, it's okay. But when other people fall on hard times, they're just mooches or something. Yeah. There's a conversation to be had here.
Yep. All right. 336-543-2101, 336-543-2101. If you want to call in, I especially want to have that healthcare discussion with any of you who believe that we should keep a private healthcare market. Not like an on top of, sure, if you want to say like, I want to get a separate private thing for anything that Medicare for all wouldn't cover, so it's going to be like optional shit mostly. I suppose that's something I don't care as much about discussing. I would say that the fact that those things are necessary in other countries shows actually that those other countries have not completed what they should do, but those countries are still doing better than the United States is when it comes to healthcare. We do not have, as they like to say, the best healthcare in the world. But if you disagree with that, you may call in 336-543-2101, 336-543-2101. 336-543-2101.
I think sometimes people oppose, and if you're one of these people, then feel free to call in, y'all. People will oppose stuff like universal health care because of stuff like, well, I don't want my tax dollars going to abortion or to cover transition related care for trans people. And I just, I just have some questions about whether you think that tax money doesn't come from trans people or like why we should let people who need abortions because they're having a terrible miscarriage and they have sepsis, like why those people should have to pay $1,000 out of pocket to not die. That would be I would love for you to justify why we should let people die instead of providing with healthcare. That would be crazy.
I think this is a troll call, but we can try. I mean, just look at the second question.
Sure.
Matt in Florida, I'm failing to believe that you are serious. Matt in Florida, you're on the line with Jimmy and Luxander.
You guys are just bringing up abortion being covered by health care. I would debate that. I'm anti-abortion. I love babies.
Yeah, that's very... So, Matt, will you first admit that when you told the screener you're a socialist, that definitely was not true?
I am definitely a socialist.
I don't believe you.
Why is that? I think we should be taxed to actually represent us.
What is socialism?
Free healthcare specifically, I am all for. And
great. What is socialism?
It depends on the off branch. I don't want to get caught up in semantics with you guys.
No, Matt. We don't have to worry about semantics, but we do have to worry about if at the most. Excuse me, Matt. Hey, Matt. If I'm talking, that's your. Okay, I'm going to mute you. Matt, if I'm talking, that's your cue to stop talking, especially since so far I've only tried to speak in response to the things that you've said. So, Matt, I'm going to unmute you, and then that's going to be your opportunity, this person who's pretending they're a socialist, because basically what we're actually going to find out by the end of this call is that Matt is a fascist. Matt believes that nationalism is good to add to socialism, which is incompatible with socialism. So, Matt, we're going to start with, what is socialism? That is your question to answer, because it's not a semantic argument. It's an intellect check. Roll your D20. I'm trying to make sure that you even know the topic in which you are engaging. Now go.
Break down your definition of socialism.
No, Matt,
I intellectually check you. How about I'll intellectually check?
All right, cool. So, Matt, I've muted you again since you are trying to absolutely brigade on this call. I have a feeling we're going to do this a lot. Matt, I've already defined socialism several times, plus I'm the host. But this channel has nothing but me representing socialism and answering that question, not just what is socialism, but what form would I? And Matt, also, you, the way you are speaking, are clearly not taking this seriously. So that's where we're also checking if you have the potential capability and ability whatsoever to act accordingly, to actually take this seriously. Because I think that you are just a troll. Honestly, I think you're just trying to sound like a buffoon. I don't know if you're a troll from our side trying to make the fascist look stupid, or if you're a troll from the other side. But my contention is you actually don't know what socialism is, though you may have Googled it in the time I've been lecturing you on your stupidity. Now we will unmute you. What is socialism?
Can you tell me the difference between democracy, fascism, and communism?
What is socialism?
Socialism is when taxes are representative of the people.
No.
Okay, break down your hyper-intellectual view of socialism.
It's not hyper-intellectual. It is not hyper-intellectual.
It is not hyper. You're a broken record. Go ahead and tell me. Mm-hmm. Let's hear it, buddy.
Well, Matt, why should I care that you claim to be a socialist when you don't know what a socialist is?
Because the definitions change, just like man and woman.
Okay, great. When was the definition of socialism that the taxes represent the people?
It's just inherently socialist.
Do the Republicans claim? Do the Republicans claim to represent the people with their tax policies?
No, they represent
yes, they do.
The interest of Israel.
Excuse me, Matt, that is not what the Republicans claim. The Republicans claim that their
is.
tax policies represent the American people. And so whether or not that is
They're pretty blatant. They go on stage and say they're Israel
whether
first.
or not that is in essence what they're actually doing, according to your very, very dumb definition, technically the Republicans are at least pretending.
I'm still waiting for your definition, by the way. Let me hear your definition.
I've put my definition all across this channel many times. You're waiting for my definition, and it's not a... All right, so we're going to have to mute you again. It's not about my definition versus your definition. There is a definition of socialism of which you are, it's not just that you don't know what it is. It's that your definition is wrong. Like it is not, and you said, well, definitions change. So my next question, and if it becomes relevant and it seems like you start to engage in good faith, I may then start educating you on what socialism actually is since you don't know what it is. Matt, when was the definition of socialism? Because you're saying that it's changed essentially. That's at least what you implied, that it changes and that's why it's not lining up. So where can I find historically, what dictionary, what book, where in theory can I find historically that the definition of socialism is that the taxes are representative of the people? I will unmute you. Please tell me where to find your definition.
Yo, go on Google.com.
Okay, let's do that. Google.com.
Yeah,
now
go
what?
on Google.com.
I'm at Google.com.
It advocates for the collective. I am saying that. I just said it in not as a hyper-intellectual
I'm sorry, Matt.
way.
Matt, I'm on Google.com now.
Go ahead and mute me again. Go ahead and abuse that mute button, buddy. Go ahead.
Matt. I'm on Google.com now. What?
You're a fool.
Matt, I'm on Google.com now.
Socialism. Look up socialism definition.
What would you like me to type into Google?
Type in how to tie a noose.
How to tie a noose. Oh, I'm sorry. That is not getting me. By the way, I already know how to do that in preparation for the future.
I bet you do, but you don't tie tight enough, though, bro.
I already know how to do that. And yet the definition of socialism is nowhere here. Would you like to just go ahead and admit that you are a fascist?
It's a political economic theory for advocating for a collective or government ownership and administration of the means of production and distribution of goods, aiming for a more equitable society.
I'm very glad that you've looked up at
of the people. It is I literally said that, but you have to be a hyper-intellectual.
Why are you crying?
Like you.
All right, so I've had to mute Matt because Matt's hormones are getting in his way.
He's hysterical.
Matt just read a Google definition. Has nothing to do with a noose. This is just a bigoted person who I want everybody that I don't like dead. But anyway, so he looked up the definition of socialism. Now, remember, Matt is now trying to pretend that what he said is the same as the definition he gave. And so when you go to Google, the definition of socialism, an economic and political system. So keep in mind, economic systems, political system, it is a broad thing. He only said that it's when the taxes are representative of the people, which is something. But anyway, based on public or collective ownership of the means of production. So we're still not even talking about taxes at all, aiming for a more egalitarian distribution of wealth and resources. It emphasizes cooperation over competition, with production and distribution often managed by the community or government rather than private individuals. When I Google, that's what I get first. Taxes never mentioned anywhere in the definition. In fact, by Matt's definition, every government which has taxes would be socialist. So the Republicans are socialist. Hitler was socialist. Stalin was socialist. Mussolini was socialist. Trump is socialist. Cuba is socialist. Venezuela is socialist. England is socialist. There's no country that wouldn't be so. North Korea, socialist. That's super socialist country. Oh my God, so socialist over there. Every single country that has any kind of taxes or any political party that has taxes that claims those taxes are for the people, are representative of the people, are at least claiming to be socialist. And so Matt, now caught in an intellectual trap of his own making, has been exposed as not knowing what socialism was. He's now had to read a definition that I'm certain he also doesn't understand the definition of. I don't know whether or not he read the AI definition. It sounded a little different, but they can be different person to person. Or if he just read the Merriam-Webster version. And he of various egalitarian economic and political theories or movements advocating collective or government ownership, which, by the way, that is the collective ownership, the public owning the means of production. That's actually the defining feature of socialism, not taxes. You could, in theory, come up with a system that is taxless. I believe communism is taxless, and it would still meet the definition of socialism because communism is a subset of socialism. No private ownership, that kind of shit. So we'll come back to Matt and see if Matt would like to admit and begin. I hope you've taken some breaths, Matt. You were getting, as Luxander just said, very hysterical. Your hormones are going absolutely crazy. You told the screener you wanted to ask whether or not we are nationalist socialists. But because we understand socialism, we understand that nationalism is incompatible with socialism. So how would one even be a nationalist socialist by your best estimation, Matt? Here you go.
Because you have to love your country to what is redistributing wealth? What is that? That's weird. What is that?
I'm sorry. The question was, how would one be a nationalist and a socialist?
How would you redistribute the wealth?
Can you stop crying?
Hey, Matt. Matt,
hey, you're getting muted. You're getting muted. Okay, I'm muting you. Okay, buddy, I'm muting you. So hush. Let me explain why. Dude, can you tell that tranny to shut
so
up,
Matt,
dude?
your question was, how would one be a nationalist and a socialist at the same time when they are incompatible?
In order for the fucking resources to be redistributed, dude.
Great. So now we have a new question for you because you've just shown you don't understand another word. What is nationalism?
Hey, wait a second. I have a question for you. For you. What is
once you're done with my question.
Wealth? We'll definitely,
Matt, we'll definitely get there. Hey, Matt, we'll definitely get there once you answer what nationalism is.
No, I'm not going to listen to your broken record ass, dude. How about you answer one of my questions, pal, before you go?
Are you a self-proclaimed socialist, like claiming that you don't know what redistribution of wealth means?
Right. So, Matt, you've been muted again because you don't understand whose show you are on. And I think you're masturbating, is what I'm understanding. I think I can hear that you have put fruit into your butthole. And that's what's like getting your energy level so high and why your hormones are going so crazy.
Yeah, so crazy.
We're going to try this again with Matt, who may or may not have a papaya in his ass. And by may not, I mean definitely will have a papaya in his ass. To the person in chat, I will certainly let my trans co-host decide whether or not Matt will be banned. But we have a pretty high threshold for actual call bans on this show. Javon has not banned people who have called him the N-word. So if he tried to be repetitious with his bigotry, it would certainly happen quickly. But to me, it's up to the co-host.
This isn't Takis. We have different standards here.
Yeah. The fact of the matter is there's a lot of people on MAGA side who are using that slur like crazy. And if we never engage them at all and we just block them out, that's pretty much how we lost a lot of the intellectual wars over the last decade of going like, all right, well, here we have our group of correct people and we're going to put a wall around that and we're going to stop trying to change the minds of bigots. Unfortunately, bigots are the people whose minds we have to change. Now, Matt, as you come back off, because you don't seem to understand much of anything, including whose show you're on and who gets to ask the questions and when it's your turn to ask questions, because you would get that turn if you would just begin to engage in good faith. So, Matt, if you'd like to begin to engage in good faith, we're going to go down my line of questions. And then if you want to talk about redistribution of wealth, I'm a socialist. Why would I be scared of that? I literally run a company that prevents me from getting rich if the other people who work here aren't also essentially rich. I pay my second in command more than I pay myself. So for me to ever get rich would mean everybody else that we touch in any way would have to also be rich. And even then there would be a limit. Never shall I ever be a billionaire or 100 millionaire. It's not a difficult question for me to engage in because I've put my money where my mouth is in this situation. So Matt, once again, we are going to unmute you for some reason. So far, you've suggested I should be killed. So far, you've dropped a T slur. You haven't actually shown that you come from any intellectual side of any of these conversations. And yet we're going to give you one more chance to operate in good faith. And now explain to me what nationalism is and how nationalism can be compatible. So you're going to define nationalism and define how nationalism can be compatible with socialism.
You have to be proud of your country in order to be okay with the redistribution of wealth, which is through taxes, by the way. Exactly.
I'm sorry, that's not the definition of nationalism.
Trannies and suck my fucking dick, you queer.
Well, Matt, here's the thing. A couple things. One, you did not just give the definition of nationalism. You just gave the definition of perhaps patriotism. You don't have to be proud of your country to redistribute its wealth. In fact, I would argue that it won't be until after we do some redistribution. Matt has ran away because Matt is a little bit of a bitch. Until after redistribution of wealth, we won't actually be able to be proud of our country. So that's not an issue. Now, I do want to point out that I was the one speaking to you when you said to suck your dick, and then you called me a queer. Did he drop an F slur as well?
I didn't hear an F slur. He just said the T slur twice.
Just another T slur. So this this leader of men, this intellectual juggernaut, told me to suck his dick, and that's what makes me queer. Now, guys, I don't know if you know this, but if getting your dick sucked by a man, especially as masculine presenting as I am, beard and all, if you desire that individual to suck your dick and you are yourself a man, this would make you gay. So Matt has a lot of things to look up. What is socialism? What is nationalism? And maybe just say, oh, Siri, fuck, dude, am I gay? Because it turns out, Matt, you might be gay. Literally, there's no way to get a dick sucked by somebody who presents as I do and not be gay.
He was thinking about both of our penises.
There's a lot of wiener thought going on there. 336-543-2101. If you think you can actually engage in good faith, these were not difficult questions. He just did not understand the basics whatsoever. Okay. Let's see. Idris in Canada, you are on the line with Jimmy and Luxander, calling to say that sports should be separated by biological sex. Idris's pronouns are he, him. The Canadian is calling in to say he, him, that he believes. Hey, Idris, I'm curious, which political party in Canada did you most recently vote for?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Which party? I recently voted for the Conservative Party. But in Canada, it's different because they're both kind of like center. So it's just there's certain policies that are more left-leaning for liberal, and there's certain policies that are more right-leaning for conservative.
Yeah. So, for example, are you pro-universal healthcare, or do you believe that we should have a private healthcare market in Canada, and that the U.S. has a better one than America does?
To be honest, for me, I wish there was an option to like choose, because we pay a lot of taxes, and I literally pay half my income is through taxes, and it's a lot of like.
How much you make in a year?
Like over six figures.
Okay, and you're saying over half of that's going, but you and other people have healthcare as a result of it.
Yeah, but like it's not like I'm still young and healthy, so I don't really use it, so I don't like appreciate it because I'm not.
Right, you're not using it now, and even though you might use it later or tomorrow, you could find out you have cancer. Kind of like right now, because you're not utilizing it, you'd rather live in a world where you could opt out of it, and potentially some people who also opt out, who find out they have cancer, maybe get fucked over in that scenario. I don't know, man. Idris, that sounds a little bit pretty selfish. I gotta say, pretty selfish.
I'm just saying that not a lot of because a lot of it does go to a lot of taxes do go to that, but I just don't think this much of it should go to that.
Okay.
So it's not a matter of like.
What percentage of your taxes go to healthcare in Canada?
I don't know, probably like 20% or something. I haven't checked.
Okay. What a deal.
Yeah, honestly.
What a goddamn deal.
You pay, if you're, regardless of how much you're paying in your taxes, like you are paying like half as much as Americans do, and you have a guarantee that you'll get the healthcare.
Not to mention your healthcare covers so much more.
Yeah.
As well as is intertwined with welfare programs, like the
you
fear
can go
of
get
being
annual
homeless,
blood work.
The fear of being homeless in the United States versus Canada, you just don't have to have the same level of fear. Whereas here will be you might become homeless because you get sick. Like you might get sick, then lose your insurance, lose your coverage, and you might just die because you have no health care and you might get sick. Idris, it's always very easy, I think, for people, especially in a conservative position as yourself, to look out and go, no, I wish I had the option to opt out because right now I don't need it, even though this is fundamentally a program for people who at some point don't need it and eventually will. But
yeah, but I also think that there's a lot of things you can do for your health that the government doesn't implement, you know? Like
okay, great. So reforming the healthcare industry is great, or not industry, but healthcare programs of the government sounds great. If there's things that you're saying, like the government needs to get more involved in making GLP-1s accessible to people, making good, nutritious food accessible to people, all that shit, do all that shit, but don't take people's healthcare away because you're young and healthy.
No, I'm just saying.
One day you will be not young and you also might not be healthy.
Yeah, fair, but I feel like there's a lot of things that can change. And
great, change those things.
Spending money. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree wholeheartedly, but I just feel like it's a lot. Combined with the income tax and...
How are you on abortion?
No,
you might find I don't care what people... On the trans issue, specifically people call in on sports, I care about virtually anything else more. Because it's literally like you and I, but neither of us, Idris, let's be so honest, will be affected by this at all. And so we're going to be discussing whether or not you or I, and Lux, I don't think you're an athlete. Basically, we're going to be discussing whether or not, yeah, we're basically just going to be discussing whether or not other people should have the right to be treated with dignity. And it's kind of one of these things where it's like, there's no individual stakes for us. So why are we sitting here even potentially thinking about taking it away from other people when there is no obvious problem, when there's already been regulations trying to mitigate if there's the potential of a problem, when the research and the science about any advantages that might be present has been getting better and has not been supporting the anti-trans position. You could be able to regulate better. You'd be able to do things on a case-by-case basis if necessary. So why we're just going to sit here and go, so I just want to make sure blanket out there is there that if there's a 15-year-old trans girl on a soccer pitch with other girls, we probably should put her in prison. Somebody's got to go to prison over that shit. It's just kind of one of the... So anyway, Idris, what do you think about abortion?
Wait, but just to touch on that, because
all right, go ahead.
I called in because I heard
transports.
No, but I heard one of you say, I think it was your co saying something about like it's male supremacy to think that males have an advantage over sports. It's not so much as to change the policy, but as it's more so as to like get that.
I may have said it on Takis earlier. I mean, I do say, so basically what we find in the sports conversation typically is that the people who are against trans people being in sports don't know anything about hormone replacement therapy and what it does to change the body. And they also seem to not be aware that trans people have been allowed to participate at the Olympic level for 20 years. And so if there's some fear of, you know, people usurping women's sports, well, it's not happened. And so what we find is that this opinion is predicated entirely on like a couple of different things. Like you don't understand anything about how HRT affects women, like how going from male to female through hormone therapy, like what that actually physically does to people's bodies. And like that ties back into an idea that like males are inherently superior at sports or at anything related to physical activity, despite the fact that we do find that women are fully capable of being competitive. So like even if we take the trans element out of the sports conversation, most people have a belief in male supremacy in that regard, to the extent that like some sports are segregated now because women participated and were able to place. And in order to protect the idea that men are inherently stronger, they created a separate women's league. And also we find that funding is a huge predictor in sports performance, whereas testosterone levels are not predictive of sports performance. So if you have a lifetime disadvantage in women's sports where women are not having the same coaches, like the same level of facilities and equipment because they have poor funding, well, it would take 20 years of like completely equal funding before we would even begin to know what the actual physical differences are, because funding is such a huge predictor of sports performance. So there's like so many elements of that just, first of all, it comes back to ignorance about trans bodies, lumping in trans women's bodies as males. We shouldn't have males in female sports because you don't know how hormones affect people's bodies. And it's a feelings over facts argument.
But are you saying males in general are not better in sports than females?
I'm saying that we couldn't possibly say right now because of the huge disparities in funding and support for male and female sports.
But
Idris, did your phone fall asleep when you were in the middle of talking? Hello. You cut out there. You gotta make sure your phone screen doesn't go to sleep when you're on the web caller.
Oh, sorry.
It's very obviously too blanket a statement. I'm not an athlete at all. If a person who is right now presenting as a woman discovers that they're a man, they were born female, goes through testosterone replacement therapy, in your own estimation, they would become advantaged by their testosterone therapy over women, right? Would they also become advantaged over me, who is not an athlete? Definitely, because I currently can't compete with women athletes, let alone a man on testosterone therapy. So the very blanket statement of do males not have an advantage, it depends on the male and it depends on the person who may have been born female, what their testosterone situation and otherwise development situation has been, since most athletes have advantages, genetic advantages that are totally independent of their testosterone or of their sex at birth or of their estrogen or anything else. Like right now, being a basketball player, the number one advantage isn't necessarily being a man, it's being tall. I'm tall, I'm a terrible basketball player, so it's always situational.
I remember during the Olympics seeing like one of the female teams where all of the players were over 6 feet versus like a team from a country where the average height is so much shorter and they're like all 5 feet tall. And it's like, wow, why did you put those people in the same competition together? That's crazy.
So basically, just what we're saying is you want to make a blanket statement. We're saying it's more complicated than that. And we're smart enough to have regulations that can accommodate the complications. Because we're already talking about an elite group of people who are genetically advantaged over the rest of the population. And nobody's using transitioning to join groups of people where it's like, well, I'm not genetically advantaged, but I still want to compete. So I'm just going to transition so that that's the group I can compete with. It's more complicated than the blanket way you want to understand it, and therefore you regulate it with more. This is why some people advocate for, I don't have a specific position, so when Luxander gives their solution versus Arden gives her solution versus Ben gives his, they might all three be the same. I don't know, and I don't disagree with any of them because I don't care about sports enough to get that deep in the weeds. I just go, maintain the dignity of people, err in toward inclusiveness, and at the end of the day, we're smart. If the situation is complicated, we can have complicated regulations to go with it to accommodate how complicated it is.
Generally, my solution to the alleged problem is to create height and weight categories or base categories, like group people together based on previous performance metrics rather than just create a blanket this group and that group.
And my solution is to abolish sports.
I know.
You pick one, Idris. I'm just kidding. Go ahead, Idris.
No, but I'm saying it's not just like one thing. It's not to just testosterone. It's not just height. For biological advantages, just like lung capacity, explosiveness, upper body strength. There's like 20 things that are all like we have so much evidence for biological advantages overall that men have versus women, and especially in contact sports, that you could make a plan.
Factors don't necessarily result in tangible performance differences. Like you realize somebody with like a larger degree of muscle mass might be terrible at gymnastics because they're too heavy. And so even though they have what you have just, in that list, like, oh, they actually have like an advantage because they have more muscle mass. Like actually that makes them worse at some sports. So we can't have a blanket because you have testicles. We assume that you have all these other traits and therefore you have the advantage in this sport.
Right. Again, all you're describing is, Idris, what you see as typical. And we're saying, or at least I was, what doesn't matter what's typical. If it's complicated to accommodate, you just do what's complicated, and you just going, and males have, you're only describing generalities of male versus females that don't include males who have transitioned. Females who have transitioned. You're using very broad generalities, and the current science shows that you can basically, that transition for a lot of the sports, it might be all, it might be most, it might be, but it's at least a lot of the sports, that transitioning actually mitigates anything that you think is an inherent advantage, which is why, by the way, you often see people weren't really getting angry until a few trans people won some positions, and it wasn't by crazy amounts. And then you know what happened? Some cis person came along in almost every instance and broke that trans person's record. So these advantages that are so absolute are not even causing them to compete in ways that it means that they are just totally dominating. And where we've seen examples of things like that pop up, regulations literally popped up to then accommodate for it, because they basically went, ooh, actually here in this category, there probably has to be better evidence that they've transitioned to this degree or something like that. So it's literally like a not problem for people. It's hurting nobody, but you just.
I'm not talking about like the issue with trans in sports. I'm just talking about, because now there's like a ideology where people are saying that men don't have an advantage over sports, and I think that spreads, because you guys are saying you're like speaking about science.
I don't know if you heard me earlier, and I want to be clear. Funding is an enormous predictor of sports performance. I don't know if you're aware of this, but women's sports on the whole, from the time that they're fucking in elementary school all the way up to the Olympic level, women's sports does not receive the amount of funding. So they do not have as high quality of coaches. They do not have as high quality of facilities. They do not have as high quality of equipment. So we would not be able at all to ascertain whether there is a fundamental biological advantage until we fix the funding disparity and then wait 20 years.
Even if you suspect that that's where it's going to go, though, Idris, the conversation about trans people isn't the average male versus the average female and what also their physical capabilities are. It's about people who have transitioned. Again, you're talking about an elite group of people who already outside of their genders have genetic advantages. That's why they're athletes. That's why we treat them like animals that need to entertain us. Some of them we pay well. Others we pay like shit, despite the fact that they are performing and working as hard or harder than the other individuals. So Idris, if you're going to say this isn't about trans issues, then what the fuck are we even talking about? Whether or not you believe you have a complaint that somebody's saying we actually don't have as good of data as you think we do to back the claim that there is an inherent advantage. That's not what we're talking about. And if you don't have otherwise an issue outside of that. Idris, let me ask you this. If the data showed that a person born with testicles and a penis can transition to the point that their puberty that was estrogen based because they transitioned resulted in a body that existed within the mean expected body type that a female born with a vagina and ovaries would have gotten, would you then say, well, that person can compete because they don't exist in a state that is outside the norm, what I think is the norm, what scientists have established as the norm of what a woman's body develops like?
Are you saying that if a guy transitions to a girl and he has like basically the same
exists within the same normal range that women exist within?
And
would you then say let him compete with women?
No,
let her.
It depends on the sport. If it's like
a misgendered and imaginary person. So see, right there, Idris, you don't actually care about the issue. I basically just said if the data shows it's not a problem and that they are very much in the same category, you said, and I asked, would you then let them compete with women? You then said no. It depends on the sport. So literally I gave you a hypothetical where it's like, here's just, even if it doesn't exist in science, a magic world where you can literally turn into a woman or whatever, it wouldn't matter because you just fundamentally don't want people who are born with penises and vaginas to be accepted as women in the places they would like to be accepted as women.
No, my main gripe is the idea that it's spreading that it's like there's no advantage in men versus women. That's going to create a lot of problems.
Did you hear what I said? Repeat what I said. Repeat what I said.
I know you're saying
what did I tell you?
If you're saying that it's not just about funding, because if you want to go by that,
no, what I told, yes, that is exactly what I said. Repeat what I said. I'm not asking for your opinion. I'm saying repeat what I told you twice.
You're saying it's based on funding, right? That's essentially what you said. And
yes, sports performance is largely predicted by funding.
Okay, but if you go by an example like the recent one where the U.S. Olympic team lost to high school student boys, obviously the Olympic team got better funding
for their entire life. You weren't listening to me.
There was a
for their entire lifetime, lower funding.
Yeah, and Idris, again, it isn't about whether or not if they had the funding. Idris, the point was that without the funding, we can't make the conclusion. Not that the conclusion with the funding. Excuse me, I'm not done. It was explained to you first by Lux, and then I could hear. I know how to cis-splain trans issues to cis people because I know how dumb we are about it. So that's why I repeated it back to you as it isn't about whether or not then, if we did fund them the same, whether or not those advantages would go away. I suspect not. I suspect I could point to examples like you just tried to point to, except for that is based on the training. But I could point to examples like tennis, where the most elite tennis players from the women's side who have had incredible funding advantages never made it to the point of even college level tennis, and point to that and go, yeah, I suspect even with equal funding, they wouldn't reach the same averages. But the fact is, as I could only then say, I suspect, because we haven't found out, because we've never equally funded them. That was the point, Idris, that it is a much bigger indicator, funding, as far as data we actually have, than genetics. And then we talked about a lot more, and you just kind of ignored it all and have come back to, even when presented with the hypothetical, you have a trans person, we know scientifically this hypothetical trans person has transitioned to the point that they do not exist outside of the mean of women, and you went, I still wouldn't, depending on the sport. So this is not about advantages. This is not about whether or not males typically have an advantage over females. This is about you don't want people born with penises competing with people who are born with vaginas, because you feel that that is a hill that even in the hypothetical world where it was mitigated can't be mitigated. Idris, it is just it's your vibe, man. Your vibe is if you are born with a penis, you shouldn't compete with somebody who was born with a vagina. Right, Idris?
I said that depends on the sport, because if it's
Idris, I already gave you the hypothetical. Would you like to amend your answer to the hypothetical? A man, a person identifying as a man, transitions to a woman. Scientists verify they exist completely within the normal range of women athletes. There's no advantage. They just exist like a regular woman athlete does. Would you let that woman, that transitioned woman, compete in sports with other women? Yes or no?
You're saying if a boy transitions to a girl, and then that girl has the same, that boy with the transition has the same general advantages as the girl, right?
That after the transition, They establish that they have no advantage that is sourced in any male DNA, any testicle advantages, any testosterone, and that now, as a woman, they physically represent just a woman. They have the same physical averages as any woman athlete would have. Would you let that woman compete?
Okay, yeah, but so you're saying it's like a different, like if I would, but that's not a
okay. And now that I've had to dog walk you there because earlier you said no. Why are you sure that already isn't happening? Why are you sure that in many sports with the regulations that are in place, with the, in some cases, testosterone checking and every other things, why are you sure that they haven't already verified for at least some sports that if you transition, any advantage that might be present from male puberty has disappeared through the state of transitioning? What research are you aware of that has come to that conclusion?
Well, I'm saying if you transition, it's not just hormones that give you, and testosterone that gives you advantage. It's a whole slew of biological advantages, skeletal.
Please repeat my question back to me.
Yeah, you're saying what advantages would there be if the boy transitions?
No.
If all those advantages that we're transitioning,
that is not even close to my question. I'll help you out by starting it. It starts with, what research are you, Idris, aware of that concludes what?
I'm saying there's evidence to suggest that there are many biological advantages that you can't detransition when you're transitioning.
So we're never going to get to what my actual question was, or are you saying that's what you think I asked?
No, I'm saying you're saying if
Idris, I think we're going to move on because we're already down the road of a topic I've already said I fundamentally don't care about. Let women compete with women. Trans women are women, and you want to contend about a sports thing. I asked you a very direct question. We've done hypotheticals. You had to change one of your positions on the basis of the hypothetical, and then you weren't able to take on the real world example of that hypothetical. And so at this point, I think we're just going to move on. Please call in when you are ready to listen in a way that you can repeat back the questions that are asked of you.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sorry for boring you for 20 minutes.
That was so boring.
I know. You were like sat back looking at your phone.
So boring. My new chair can like lay back.
Ooh, that would scare me. I would be like, it would like accidentally do it when I didn't mean for it to or something, and I would fall back. It has a pretty
solid base. It's not that far.
That's
too.
Good. That's good.
But I've got it locked.
I pulled this out of the dumpster.
This is not like a Secret Labs. It's definitely much cheaper than a Secret Labs, but I'm spending so much time in my chair, and those old chairs were causing mostly my neck pain to be worse. This one's got like good neck support that I can even adjust and shit.
Yeah, gotta get a good ergonomic chair.
Too. Yeah, I did not spend Secret Labs money on it. It was a couple $100.
Aren't Secret Labs the gaming chairs? They're actually terrible to sit in all day. They're not at all ergonomic.
I think they're advertised. Look, if they sponsor me, I'll try one or whatever. I'll take their money and still. But I have a meeting next week with a company that I want as an affiliate, and they were like, "What if we wanted to sponsor instead?" And so I said, "Let's call and talk about it." And so I'm going to call them and say, like, "Here's the thing. I don't think your product is great. I think your product is the best of a lot of products that are basically bad."
Yeah.
And I think your product is important, therefore, as the best. And as an affiliate, I feel I can say that to people and then get a commission if, as a result, they go and sign up for your service.
Yeah.
That, look, guys, this sucks, but the only thing worse than this is everything else. As a sponsor, I think what you would require to approve a sponsorship spot would mean I would have to lie or lose the sponsorship spot.
Not
and
willing.
that's basically... in fact, I'm going to message you who the people are and see if you're like exactly correct. You can react just to the... And the funny thing is now if suddenly y'all see we start having affiliate plugs, you're like,
you know that we can't wholeheartedly endorse that product.
well, at least this one, like the most recent one, if that happens, you'll be like, oh, okay, yeah. Also, it will be a part of the plug. It'll be like, hey guys, I actually think this service is an important service in my life. I think it would be an important service in yours, right? However, you should know one of the fundamental claims it makes, I would say, in the context of America, is true-ish, but in the context of just reality is not. Mm-hmm. In how it's representing sides of something and everything. So anyway, that makes sense. I have to have that discussion next week and go, I would like to have it would be exciting
to have an affiliate or a sponsorship, like an official relationship with the channel. That would be exciting, but yeah, we have to be on the same page.
I've had other offers I've basically turned down every sponsorship offer I've had ever since the last Adam and Eve one we did, which was a few years ago. I've not taken another sponsor. I like Adam and Eve still. I'd probably still take a new Adam and Eve sponsorship, but
I would. I've never had a sponsor reach out to me. RIP.
You probably have. You probably have some in your business things.
I've gotten scams.
Sure. But then 1 in every 30 of those probably is somebody trying to underpay you to sell something.
That's a good point too. I just hit 40,000, so maybe I'll get someone. I don't know. We'll see.
All right, we're talking to Bill in Maine. Bill in Maine is calling in to talk about white privilege. Bill, how old are you?
Hey, how are you? You remember we talked the other day?
And that's how old you are? I'm teasing, Bill.
Saying, do you remember me?
I remember you. I remember you.
Yes, there he is.
Yeah.
There he is. Yes,
of course I remember. Bill. Bill and Jimmy, old friends.
Hey,
Bill, how old are you?
We never actually got to talk about it.
Yeah, how old are you?
38.
Great. And in the last 3 elections with Donald Trump, because I don't remember if you answered this last time, who'd you vote for?
Oh, come on. Yes, I did. Oh,
I don't remember. Bill, I do this for a living. You think I remember the details of our conversation at all?
Well, it was special to me. So I voted for Hillary, Trump.
Okay. I know it was special to you, but listen, man, if you go to the doctor with a broken leg, that's going to be the most special thing that happens to you in that day, month, and year. You will be the 50th broken leg that doctor sees in a day. Am I comparing myself to a doctor? Yeah. All right, Bill. What are your pronouns?
If 50 people break their leg and all go see the same doctor in one day, I think there's something wrong. My pronouns are he and him.
That'll work. Bill, you live near New York. You don't think there are 50 broken legs a day in New York?
No, I don't.
All right, well, and by the way, I didn't say newly broken legs. So like when I broke my leg, yes, there's the day I have the surgery, but also I had to revisit my doctor probably 10 times before wasn't being monitored or whatever. So yeah, you're going to see a doctor with a lot of broken a lot of broken legs in a day. All right, Bill.
Yes.
And you are white, Bill?
Specializes in broken legs and surgery and post-op surgery. Yes, he may see 50 broken legs, I suppose.
There you go. Bill, are you white?
I'm sorry?
Are you white?
Yes.
Excellent. Me too, Bill.
That's kind of an odd question, but
is it? Wait, Bill.
Yes.
Bill, you called in to talk about white privilege. Don't you think it matters a little bit that we establish that we're going to be 3 whiteys talking about whether white privilege exists? That we might start having a conversation about some people without those people?
It's fair. Okay.
Great.
Yes, I'm white. Yep.
All right, Bill. I have a question for you.
Yep.
I have a question for you, Bill. There are studies that show that black people and white people are pulled over at different rates, and that black people are pulled over more than white people. However, at nighttime, that goes back down, and white people and black people are pulled around at roughly the same amount at night. Why do you think that is?
When you say roughly, what are these stats exactly? Are these percentages? Are these based on a certain region? Are these just U.S. only?
Just
What are
engage the
these,
question, man. I don't have time to pull up the study and give you down to the decimal points. What you need to know is it is substantially more during the day. Black people are pulled over more. And at night, the numbers are tightened to much closer, where I believe it is actually still black people are pulled over slightly more, but it's only slightly more instead of a lot more. During the day, it's a lot more. At night, it's only slightly more. Why do you think that is?
I'm not sure the cause of that, but I don't necessarily associate that with a white privilege.
We'll get there, but I would like you to try and guess why that is. I can tell you what the conclusion of most people who are engaged in that research is, but I'd like to hear what you think it is. Why would it be that during the day, black people are more likely to be pulled over at a higher rate than white people, but at night it goes back down to closer to the same? I bet you can guess the right answer.
The board in every state and every department, right? In every demographic.
Let's assume that it is. If that becomes important to the question, we'll look it up. But for the moment, let's assume that that's the case. I believe it was a national study.
Okay. And again, you can't tell me that it's a different rate. It's just that it's substantially more. Yes.
Yes, obviously outside of there's nothing actually happening deviation. It's not within that like margin of error where it's like, yeah, it could just be that that's the day you measured it. It was bad. But again, you're being asked to comment.
Sure the reason for that. Yeah.
You're not sure what the reason is. What would you guess it is, though?
I feel like it depends on a lot of things, what the reason could be.
What do you think some of them are? Give us your big, what do you reckon the biggest reason is? Just presume everything I said is true. What would you think the biggest reason is?
I don't know. Maybe there's a correlation to eyesight at night, and they don't know who's in there at nighttime. They don't know if it's a black person, a white person. They have no idea.
So what you're saying is during the day, when they are more capable of seeing the race of the person, maybe they're pulling the black people over more and are less likely to pull over the white people because they can see that the person is black or white. And so they are choosing to pull over the black people more. And at night, they can't see. Therefore, they are deciding they are basically more equitable. They're just pulling over more on the infraction basis, more on, is this crime worth pulling somebody over for? Is that the guess that you have there? Because it's a good guess. It's a very good guess.
Well, it's hard for me to put an exact reason as to why that causation is happening. But if you're saying it's a night and a day difference, that's what I'm going to consider, is that.
Yeah, and just so you know, your guess was basically correct. Black people are pulled over more during the day because they are seen. In other words, white people and black people, we've already studied a bunch, they commit crimes, including vehicle crimes, traffic violations and stuff, at roughly the same rate. But during the day, when you can see whether the assailant is white or black, the officer is more likely to go, I don't feel like pulling that person over if the person is white. And if they are black, suddenly it feels more important that they actually pull that person over. And at night, when vision fails them to identify, when it is less easy for them to identify, either from directly seeing or making judgments about the shape of their head or the clothes they're wearing, at nighttime.
Oh my God. Where do you live that's a thing?
In the United States of America with you, Bill. At nighttime, same thing happens. So, Bill, if the data that I just shared with you is true, and you're welcome to look into it, as well as many other things that talk about the difference in enforcement, one of them being black people are also much more likely to be exonerated of a crime, found not guilty, or later released from prison than white people, which means black people, hey, Bill, we're going to get there. we can get to everywhere, but right now it sounds like you don't want to talk about whether or not they are being unfairly treated. You would now like to just move to some white supremacist talking points, which is telling. But again, let's listen to what I'm actually saying.
You
what
think I'm
point
a
was
white
it?
supremacist?
Bill.
Are you kidding me?
Hey, Bill. If you're unaware that white privilege exists, and then as I'm explaining to you that black people are more likely to be exonerated and found not guilty of crimes than white people, meaning that the standard for holding and imprisoning black people is lower than white people. In other words, you're much more likely to go to prison for a crime you did not commit and to be held in prison without bond, to be held in jail without bond, and to be found not guilty later if you didn't commit it than a white person. That a white person only really is going to be, or is less often going to be threatened with prison unless found actually guilty. That your response is to then ask about who's committing the violent crime, that you might not be a white supremacist, you just know their songs. Okay? So now let's engage with the actual data given to you. If what I just said to you is true, does that mean a white person is safer in society, specifically from unfair enforcement of laws by police? Basically just unfair police actions. Is it true, if all the data I just shared with you is true, that white people are safer from corruption at the police level than black people are?
You know, I'm really not comfortable saying yes.
Bill,
really
you don't.
Not.
I'm not asking you to affirm that it's true. That's the kind of shit you have to research on your own, because I don't expect anyone to take my word for it. I asked if the data is true. If what I am sharing with you is true, does it illustrate that white people are safer than black people against police corruption?
And you're saying specifically about the exoneration rate?
Sure. If just those couple of things we've gone through so far, the exoneration rate and the rate at which people are pulled over in the day versus the nighttime, do both of those things, if they are true, illustrate that white people are safer from corrupt police than black people?
So because black people get pulled over more at nighttime.
No, during the day. They get pulled over disproportionately more during the day when they are visible.
Sorry about that.
That would mean if you are white, you are less likely to be pulled over for a minor traffic crime because you are white and the officer will see you're white. And if they see that you're black, they're more likely. That's what the stats show. So wouldn't this mean, Bill, that between that and the exoneration, white people are safer?
You're basically going to say that they get pulled over more. And
Bill, why try to go with where you're going from? Why not? Bill, all of the points you want to make, hang on, Bill, every point you want to make, you would be given the opportunity to make if you would engage with the questions you are asked first. This is how Socratic questioning works. You go through it all. We get to a place of going, okay, here we are. This is what I'm saying is happening. What's your contention? And then you get it. But instead, you're trying to do this thing where you go, I'm not going to answer the question directly because I know if I do answer the question directly, I will have just proven that I actually do believe white privilege exists, or that I just don't yet know that white privilege exists. And if I have to follow up and research these things, that will be the conclusion I come to if that information turns out to be true, which it would have. Bill, you are trying to avoid the committing to being intellectually consistent and morally consistent, because you want to see if you can jump ahead and play some game with the pedantic points that you want to make and can we get the exact, you want it, and you're literally being asked hypotheticals.
You were throwing out stats, and I asked you more detail on the stats.
And Bill, you tried to get hyper pedantic about it. And so I said, just assume it's true because we're talking hypotheticals. This is why I said, if everything I said is true, because you should research it. You shouldn't take, Bill, you should research it. You shouldn't take just my word for it.
I can do
Great.
the same thing to
Great.
you, though, right?
I'm looking forward to that, Bill. I'm looking forward to you showing a place where I am inconsistent in my morality and in my intellectualism after you answer my question. So now we're going to come back to my question. If the data I have shown you is true, or I've told you about is true, if the data I've told you about is true,
generalized idea.
if the data I have told you is true, Bill, would that suggest that black people are less safe and white people are more safe from police corruption?
It would make that implication if it is true.
And it's not implication. It would, okay, much more than it would be quite explicit, really. So then, Bill, would being safer from police corruption be a privilege?
Of course, being safer from police.
And if that privilege is issued to a person, right? And if that privilege is issued to a person relative to the fact that they are or are not white, would that then qualify as a white privilege?
No, because we've been talking about white and black.
Excuse me, Bill. Bill, I just asked if it would be a privilege, and you said yes. And I just asked if that privilege is issued on the basis of whether you are or are not white, where you get the privilege if you're white. Would that be a white privilege? And you said no. So now we've left intellectual consistency, now we've left moral consistency, and now we're getting to logical inconsistencies. I guess that's under intellectual. Yes. Yes. I think we were doing moral consistencies earlier. Sorry, what?
I don't agree with how you're trying to position the conversation. I don't think.
Right. How would you like to position? Then now go ahead and make your best presentation because I just gave you an example of how white privilege does exist. When you go research the data that I just told you about with exonerations and traffic, you will find out for yourself that it is true. And you will find out for yourself that white privilege is in fact true. You will find out, Bill, that you as a white person exist walking down the road with a feeling of safety that black people do not get the privilege of. That your base state of existing in public is privilege. So now what, Bill, is your best argument? And you're welcome to try Socratically. Bill, you're welcome to try Socratically. What is your best argument? I don't even know what this man is trying to talk over me to say. It sounds like nonsense. Bill, what is your best argument that white privilege, as you said, in fact, does not exist? Feel free to also engage Socratically.
So I just want to make sure I understand your summarization of why white privilege does, in fact, exist.
No, I never told you why it existed. I, in fact, only gave you an example of its existence. So fundamentally, you also don't even know what is being said to you because we never talked about the deeper why. We really have just talked about the what. We've established its present.
Right, because, we can't talk about the real whys or giving specific details to anything because everything you just said is incredibly vague and generic. That's the reason for that.
Luxander, you are muted. You don't know what the phrase vague and generic means.
If you are disagreeing with the fact of the matter of whether white privilege exists. Hi, yes, I'm here. Yes, I've been on the screen the whole time. I just didn't feel a need to butt in because Jimmy was on a line of questioning with you. But now I'm going to interject. Hi, my name's Luxander. Great to meet you. So the thing is, it's not possible to delve into why white privilege exists if you disagree with the fact of the matter that white privilege exists. If you're interested in looking further into this particular issue, I believe that where this information is coming from is from the Stanford Open Policing Study that shows that, I don't know, I haven't been able to find just while I'm casually reading this, the difference between daytime and nighttime, but just that there is a disparity with black people being pulled over more often than white people. These results are being taken from 21 state patrol agencies and 29 municipal police departments comprising nearly 100 million traffic stops across the United States. So do you this is where we're running into a problem here, is that you acknowledge that avoiding interactions with the police, like avoiding getting caught up with the police, is a type of privilege. And there is a demonstrable fact that white people get pulled over less often than black people. And this also touches on whether Hispanic people get pulled over Hispanic people get pulled over about the same as white people, except probably more now with the whole ICE thing happening. But the fact of the matter is that white people get pulled over less often, and you acknowledge that that is a privilege, but for some reason, you are not willing to acknowledge that it is a privilege on the basis of them being white, even though we are establishing that is the critical distinction between the groups. Like this tried to this study like made sure to account for age and gender and tried to equalize out all those things on the simple basis of whether you are white or black. You are more or less likely to get pulled over.
To be fair, what was talked about was white, black versus daytime and nighttime. That's what was discussed.
I like that it was also called by you generic and vague, despite the fact that if I had gotten any more specific, we would have had to have gone down to individual anecdotes. I literally gave you the maximum specificity that is still factual. So I don't think we're engaging with a person who's engaging in good faith. I've put the link in the chat where people can go to PubMed. I also sent it to you privately on Discord because it's a combination of multiple studies and a lot of data. They actually evaluated over 100 million detailed traffic stops. And not only did they find black versus white, they found that if you're brown, like you are Hispanic, depending on basically how brown you look, will also be a part of the assessment of how much you are pulled over. And Hispanic people, therefore, on average, during the day are pulled over more than white people, but less than black people, because they are black people are more easily identifiable, especially to racist white cops, than Hispanic people are. So anyway, I was vague and generic, though.
But like, this is the fact of the matter, Bill. The fact of the matter is that for whatever reason, black people are being pulled over more often when their race is apparent. And I'm reading this one that Jimmy suggested. It's from PubMed. It's from the National Library of Medicine, the NIH. It's like we've done 100 million traffic stops and we've observed the data on those traffic stops. Out of 100 million traffic stops in the United States, when you can see the person, black people get pulled over more, which indicates that there is a racial bias where cops are deliberately pulling black people over more often, even when their behavior is the same as the white drivers. So I don't understand how you could possibly weasel out. Can you just let me finish my sentence, Bill? I haven't had much opportunity to get into this conversation, so I really want to finish my point. I want you to explain to me how that does not relate to you having a privilege of not having to get pulled over because you are white.
The study you just referenced, how does that say what they were doing was the same exact thing, and the reason they were pulled over is because of their skin color? How does it say
I'm not a researcher.
I'm
not a researcher. I'm not a researcher.
I'm done.
You're done with this?
We
Okay,
already
cool.
addressed this. In fact, you can go, the link's now in the chat. You've been directed how you can look it up, and it talks about how they evaluated and compared it. And in fact, they talk about how also they established that the bar for when you have a traffic stop, the bar for when they decide to search a vehicle is quite a bit lower for white people, or rather black people, and much higher for white people. So they were able to analyze those, because you do have to, because you're saying like, well, how do you know the severity? Because it's all detailed in the reports. The reports aren't just, I stopped somebody for something and it's just the same report, whether or not it was a person, drove into a police officer versus it was a white woman speeding 5 miles an hour over the limit. Well, those are just two. How do we know the difference in the infractions? By reading the fucking reports. What do you think they did? Just jerk off the whole time? Cops only do that half the time and in inappropriate places because it makes them feel powerful. Also, they found that there was relationship to the way legalized marijuana was used to try and get more uncovered in traffic stops in white people versus black people when legal marijuana was present. So, like, you are not engaging honestly. You're not listening to the information given to you, Bill, and you're just trying to very pedantically go like, and as not a researcher myself, did they make sure to ask the black people if they have any associations with the Muslim Brotherhood? Like, how fucking hyper pedantic are we going to get before this is over, Bill? You do not have a fact-based opinion, and you called into blanket say white privilege doesn't exist, and yet you don't know one of the most obvious, well-documented ones, which is that whether or not white people or black people are committing crimes at the same rate, whatever the type of crime is, black people will be arrested more for it and exonerated more for it because white people have to actually be found guilty at a much higher rate than black people with a higher standard, and black people will be found guilty more often with less evidence and then later released because they were unfairly convicted. Like, Bill, call if one day you want to engage in honesty, but all you actually have, Bill, is white privilege, and you live in a heavily white community and you aren't exposed to it, so you think it doesn't exist because it doesn't affect you, and you don't like to believe that you've gotten an advantage in society because maybe otherwise your life sucks. And you think that people saying white privilege exists means that we're saying everybody has an easy time if they're white, which nobody is saying.
Wants us to provide the studies, but then nitpicks every single aspect of it as though he has the intellectual or like skilled rigor to make those kind of determinations and questions. Yeah.
And I'm not Google. Like, if you want to go read the studies and you tell me, you can call in with what you think. We're going to fact check you. You can call in and go, I've read the studies, and by the way, it did this, this, and this, which is, but guess what? These were peer reviewed. So experts have said that the methods by which this study was performed was valid. So you're going to have to make sure that you come correct, because if you try to come sideways, you're going to get absolutely owned. All right. He had hung up a while ago. Actually, I don't know how long ago. Lucian in Texas, you are calling to say that democracy is bad and you are a monarchist. Last time you called in as an alleged independent wishing we would abolish abolish abortion. I remember how that went. It'll be a good clip for our side. You're from Texas. Lucian, if I'm remembering, you're like 19 or something.
I'm 18.
18 years old. And you believe democracy is bad. And so therefore, by the way, I also agree democracy is bad. I think the only thing worse than democracy is everything else. So what system would you put in place instead of democracy?
I mean, I think a monarchy, so I guess I can argue monarchy as the best system, alternative to democracy. I didn't know you were against democracy. I mean, I guess
I'm not against democracy, but, Lucian. Lucian, I'm not against democracy. You didn't hear what I said. We're already off to a bad start. What did I say about democracy?
You said it's the least bad.
Yes, democracy is bad. The only thing worse is everything else. So I'm not against democracy because it is the best option we got.
I get it. Well, so first thing I'm going to say is democracy is a fallacy. There's several fallacies it hinges on. But do you want me to say why monarchy is better?
No.
Is that what you want?
Yes, I want to focus on monarchy. So what would be how does a civilization under a corrupt monarch seek the rectification of their position?
A corrupt monarch?
Yeah, if we lived in a monarchy and our monarch was corrupt, how would we fix that?
So, every government, whether or not you realize it, they have power. The society can reject the monarch.
That's an interesting point. But my question was, if I lived in your monarchical society and my monarch was corrupt, what would be my path to rectification?
Your path of rectification. Your path of rectification is not obeying the monarch systems, not I guess mass protests enough. I mean, stuff that could severely damage.
I'm sorry. Protesting. I think you don't understand what the word protesting means. If you mean revolution as a form of protest, but protesting is fundamentally a democratic institution.
You could have a revolution and then replace it with another monarch.
Okay, got it. So you think that monarchy is good, and if you are in a bad monarchy, violence, you'll probably die, especially if you're in the peasant class. A bunch of people will die, but the people after you may have a better monarchy, and that's the preferable system.
Yes. I think it's more complicated than that, but also.
And yes, Lucian, let's just go ahead and let's just give me a historical example of something that we can compare it to that's positive. What's my historical monarchy? Because monarchies are all throughout history. We currently live in an oligarchy. Would you say that America's on its path, that since electing Donald Trump got us close, like further ingrained oligarchy? And oligarchy is closer to monarchy than democracy, that Donald Trump did a positive thing in the direction toward monarchy?
We do live in an oligarchy. So
what was my question?
But when it comes to Donald, you asked if Donald Trump did a positive turn towards monarchy. Is that what I heard?
It involves all the words in my question, but it strikes as the kind of person not listening, but going, I can recall words that were just said. Specifically, the election of Donald Trump has pushed us further in the position of oligarchy away from democracy, and oligarchy is closer to monarchy. So would you say that the election of Donald Trump is a positive because it is working toward your ends of eventual monarchy?
No, I would disagree with that.
Great. Now, can you please name a single functional monarchy ever?
I believe monarchy hasn't been done right.
Got it. Can you name a monarchy that was done wrong? You can't say England.
Can I name one that has been done wrong?
Yeah. Any monarchy besides England.
I think the Saudis have a terrible monarchy.
Okay.
If I'm aware, they
got it. So basically, you can name the pop culture ones that have shown up, and there have been comedy shows at. Lucian, I'm going to be honest. It's 6:48. I didn't want to do a long show today anyway, and I think I've already exposed you as a poor thinker. I don't know that I have to do more, Lucian. This is beyond stupid. Monarchy, advocating for authoritarianism. I don't care. I don't care, Lucian. I like, legitimately, there's just other callers, and I just don't care. If you're going to call in and advocate for an authoritarian system because you've got a vibe, and to be honest, I'm going to even be a little ageist. You're kind of a child, and your mindset is clearly like overly simplified into that childishness and unaware of nuance and not like you aren't effectively engaging the nuance that maybe I think you will have the potential to develop with a little bit of age. Otherwise, you'll just end up being a sociopath, which, Lucian, you're growing up in Texas. Both options are pretty easy to come by.
Can I just say before you let him go that if we had a total democracy, there's a good chance that we would not have gotten Trump. The reason why we have Trump is because we have a republic and not a true democracy. So you cannot blame democracy for Trump. Thanks.
What was her name again?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, what was her name again?
My name?
No, her name. You just said someone wasn't good either?
Kamala wouldn't have been a good job.
Oh, there we go. There we go. If you're going to try and claim that you know about a person, maybe learn how to say their name consistently.
Kamala.
Yeah, you got it this time.
Kamala.
You did it the first time. It's Kamala. Yeah. Hey, Lucian. What was Kamala Harris's worst policy?
Worst policy?
Yeah.
Give me a second. Can you give me 15 seconds to think?
To Google, you mean?
I'm pretty sure she was. She was for the Equal Rights Amendment. I'm pretty sure she was for that.
Yeah, That's cute. You're going with just a general Democrat. You know she would have been worse, but you went with just what you know is a general popular liberal position of being for the Equal Rights Amendment, and one that's not exactly a home run for you to say. Lucian, which silly religion are you a participant in? You sound like you're probably in the nationalist Catholic sort of zone.
No, I'm not a nationalist.
But
no,
are you
I'm
Catholic?
not a nationalist. I believe nationalism. I'm not a Catholic. I'm Eastern
What
Orthodox.
Are you? You're Eastern Orthodox.
Yeah, I'm a globalist. Yeah.
Okay. And to be clear, you're a globalist who wishes for the subjugation of the entire globe under Eastern Orthodoxy, correct?
At some point in time.
Would the laws of your land reflect the values of Eastern Orthodoxy?
Well, I didn't come here to debate religion, but
you came to my show, and so if you want to stay on the line, because I'm already done with your dumb monarchy thing, you're going to answer my questions.
Are you going to do the whole thing when you did an argument from silence about my prior subject, or what? I mean,
you cut in and out. What are you saying?
Let me go back to a better area. You just did an argument from silence on my prior subject, so now you want to bring up morals because you know.
When did I do an argument of silence on your prior subject?
You said this is more nuanced, and this is, you know, you don't know what you're talking about, and I don't.
I'm sorry, that's not an argument from nuance because I wasn't engaging any of your arguments. I was just saying I don't respect you. You're a naive, childish, silly person with oversimplified ideas. And you remind me of my own childish self when I was like, and then I would just go to Congress and be like, what if it was your child in this situation? And then they would legislate that way because I'd get through to them. Lucian, you're either dumb or evil, and I don't really care to engage either of these. You sound worse than RFK Jr., my guy. If we're going to try again, Jesus Christ, get a signal. Goodbye. I just don't care.
No, that was rough.
Jonathan in Kentucky, you are on the line with Jimmy and Luxander. Jonathan, in the last 3 elections, well, first of all, how old are you?
I'm 23.
Jonathan, that means you were eligible for at least the last election and probably the one prior. So in Biden versus Trump and Harris versus Trump, who did you vote for?
Biden versus Trump, I didn't actually vote. I was coming out of fucking high school. I didn't really care about politics at that point. I didn't vote at all. And then it was Trump versus Kamala.
Harris.
I was in
Kamala.
So, sorry, Harris. Kamala.
Can we turn up the volume on Luthien, would you turn up the volume? I don't know why it's so low. Do we not have auto gain on set to 81%?
It honestly might be my phone.
Hang on.
It's him. It's not us.
Okay, can you change the way you're talking to us in a way that can improve this? You're like whispering.
I mean, I can put it on speaker. I know if I put it on speaker, you'll be able to hear me perfectly fine. But all right,
we'll try that. Hopefully, there's no repetition. Yeah, we'll try it. Hopefully, there's no repetition.
Is this better?
So far, so good. And I'm not hearing myself back, so that's good. All right. Okay, so you didn't care about politics before, you do now, and when it came down to Trump versus who?
Kamala.
Kamala.
Fuck.
Anyway, Trump versus Kamala.
I'm sorry, I'm really bad at it.
I don't care. I'm not Kamala Harris. Apologize to her. Send her a letter, and if you're white, make sure you apologize for that too. Jonathan, you are or are not white?
I'm mixed, actually.
Okay. And you said you voted for Trump?
No, I didn't vote. I was in jail the second one.
Oh, are you eligible to vote in the future?
Wasn't there a bill passed? Sorry, I'm not up to date on this one. Wasn't there a bill passed that allowed felons to vote? Yeah.
It's state by state.
Yeah, it's state by state.
State by state. Then I would have to look it up, to be honest with you.
Are you guilty of the crime you committed?
Oh, fuck yeah.
You did do it?
Yeah.
Do you know that you would have been more likely to get away with it if you weren't mixed but were just white?
Well, okay, I will say the whole, obviously the reason I called in was for the white privilege thing. I don't look Mexican, but I do, if you look at the face at least. I have to tell people sometimes, which is very weird to me, that white people automatically assume that I'm white, but anybody else of color automatically notices. It's very interesting, but that's not my point. The reason I called,
a lot of that is, real quick, Jonathan, a lot of that's going to be, a lot of that is going to be where people are raised and who they're raised around. So people of color are raised around a lot more people of color, as well as a lot more mixed race people. And so they are quicker to clock when a person is mixed race. A lot of white people are much more isolated from people of color. They usually have a few people of color friends maybe, but they don't necessarily have that cultural upbringing. And so they may have a more difficult time clocking when somebody is of mixed race. What's funny is, well, never mind. But Jonathan, so if you are visibly white to white people, you will still experience some white privilege. However, there are still places systemically that exist where when race gets established and say somebody is evaluating evidence and there's a name or there's a longer period of time, whether you are guilty of whatever you did or not, Jonathan, the stats show that if you were just white and nobody ever found out that you were otherwise, you would have a higher chance of having gotten away with it.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and disagree with that because I've seen it myself and just where I live and the things that I've.
So then you don't believe white privilege isn't a thing. If you don't disagree with that, you believe white privilege is a thing. That is a privilege. I just described to you a white privilege, and you said you don't disagree that it exists.
Yes. Because my main point of the reason I was calling is I don't think privileges even exist anymore. I think it's more of a class system and identity politics. I think that
both
it's more
are,
of a
both
rich
are true.
Versus poor.
Identity politics does include race.
Yeah, and Jonathan, Jonathan, class privilege is also a thing. There will be individual accounts of Black people who have more privileges in life than me because they are rich and I am not. But if we are going out and broadly examining a population, exceptions to rules prove the rule. They do not disprove the rule.
We also can't really disentangle these things. Like if like we're talking, like I think what you're saying, Jonathan, if I'm being, charitable and trying to understand what you're saying basically that the distinction between rich people and poor people is such a big problem that it's like, these other things are much less influential on people's day-to-day lives. But I don't think we can leave that. Yeah. So I don't think we can just leave race on the table when like the first of all, like being white means you're more likely to be of a higher economic position. So like that's a way in which class and race are kind of inherently tied to one another. But also as the class disparity gets bigger and bigger and bigger, the class of like lower class or middle class or like lower economic status people gets bigger and bigger and bigger, which means that in that group, there are still going to be very noticeable differences when it comes to race. Like, I during the last call, I looked up for shits and giggles, like, yeah, there was a study about like white sounding names getting called back for interviews more often. And Jonathan, you have a white sounding name. So the fact that you have probably gotten jobs in the past and like that you might have like a better chance of not getting in trouble with the law in the future, those things are predicated on that white privilege. And so like, I understand if you're saying like, maybe we shouldn't focus on those differences as much, but that's different than saying like they don't exist.
So what crime did you commit?
Jimmy.
I can't say that. I do agree with you, but I do have to ask, you probably don't know, or I don't know either, the last names. You said first names, yes. What about last names? Does that have anything
I don't. Do you have a like Hispanic sounding last name? Because that might be a factor in like why you got the sentencing that you did.
It will change the level of privilege. So if your name is Jonathan Gutierrez, you will still have an advantage over a Alfonso Gutierrez, but you won't have the same amount of advantages over you would have
Jonathan
more if you were Jonathan Smith. Yeah. We got the same example. Hey, Jonathan, before we continue, You didn't like fuck with any kids, right?
Oh, fuck no. No.
Whatever crime you did was not a sexual crime, right?
No.
And it didn't hurt any children. Okay, then we can continue on. I just didn't want to get this far and find out, like, if you were a rapist or a pedophile, I think I would have been like, I wouldn't care if you agreed with everything I agreed with. Like, fuck off.
Oh, yeah, we had a documented child abuser call Takis earlier today, and Arden hung up on them.
Are you fucking kidding me? Holy shit.
Yeah, it was crazy.
No,
he admitted to being that person. It was crazy. Okay, cool.
Yeah, no,
well, then I'm even more mad that you went
to... It's like you are more likely to... Yeah, because of your race, you are more likely to have gotten the sentence that you did. Like, if you were totally white and not mixed at all and you didn't have a Hispanic-sounding last name, then, like, it's you could have gotten off on a misdemeanor instead of a felony charge. Like, you wouldn't have even a question over whether you could vote.
I wouldn't. Well, no, I wouldn't necessarily say that I was moving quite a lot of stuff. I wouldn't say it would get dropped down that much purely based on my name because of where I live and kind of the strict views on drugs, especially the ones that I was selling.
Oh yeah, there's like first time offender rules and stuff.
Jonathan, don't sell fentanyl.
It was my first time. I wasn't selling fentanyl. Don't do that to me.
Was it meth?
No,
what was the
selling good stuff. No. Motherfucker,
Jonathan, was it weed?
Slowly but surely.
Was it weed?
I sold, marijuana, shrooms, LSD, a little bit of Xanax, stuff, just basic shit.
If you were white, you would not have gone to prison at all. You would not have caught a felony charge, dude. Like, I'm sorry. Maybe if it was massive amounts, but you're literally talking about like, it happened. I shouldn't say it doesn't happen at all, but Jesus Christ, you sold some fucking psychedelics and some weed. If you're telling me the truth, my guy.
I sold pills too, dude. There was a lot of shit. When I got arrested, it was a lot of shit. I think it genuinely wouldn't have mattered because where I live, they've had some of the biggest fucking cases of murders and things over drugs. So they are very strict on drugs. I promise you that, my man. I got.
Were you an addict too?
Life over shit.
Were you an addict also?
I used to be.
Okay. Would your addiction, is your addiction what got you into then distribution?
No, I went to college. I paid for my college with my distribution money.
Were you an addict before or after becoming a distributor?
Well, I was a user. I wouldn't say I was an addict until I had the distributor money.
To me, Jonathan, it's like one of these things where you're talking about drug crimes. And so fundamentally, first of all, drug laws disproportionately are targeted at communities of color, even if you're saying you're one of those communities that's so white Christian that they would have lifted up the white people too. They are disproportionately aimed at them. Even as they keep those those communities, I was gonna say companies, those communities in poverty, which increases the need to do things to make money, as well as the desire to do things like drugs. And that fundamentally, if we had actually done the things that would be good for everybody and hadn't, as you point out, prioritized rich people's shit, and we offered you rehab as well as lots of other people rehab, and we made drug recovery a thing that a person can opt into and not bastardize people for wanting an escape from this fucking dipshit god-awful world ran by a pants pooper, you wouldn't have ended up in prison. But fundamentally, because we prioritize white rich people's interests over everybody else's, that's why you got into distribution, that's why you got into using, and that's why you now have a felony.
I would agree on some sorts. Obviously, I don't think that I can't. Part of me doesn't want to put half of the blame of what I did on those certain things because at the end of the day, I made those decisions. Yes, there probably were things that were influencing me, the media that I was around, the people that I was around, the environment I grew up in. Yeah.
I'm open to the idea that you also were a piece of shit, Jonathan. I'm just saying the whole world would be different.
Yeah, I definitely
and
would.
the world that would have been receptive to you making ends meet by selling drugs would be different if we actually cared about people and not rich white people. And keep in mind, Jonathan, nothing you did is worse than the average day from a lot of pharmaceutical companies, especially the ones that produce opioids. The companies that are honestly paying doctors to push opioids.
Even if we just look at the criminalization of drugs on its own, like the fact that like if you look into the history of the consolidation of power within the pharmaceutical industry and like the manner in which they took things from Black communities and communities of color, co-opted them, added some cocaine to it, and then made it illegal for anybody else to distribute medicine, and like made all these other, a lot of people consider marijuana to have medical uses. And then, so just the simple fact that it's illegal in the first place is a way of policing communities of color. And like white people smoke weed just as much as everybody else, but they get in trouble for it a lot less often. So it's like, yeah, it's just hard to say that white privilege is not a factor, particularly within the realm of like which drugs are legalized or illegal and who gets in trouble for distributing or for using them or just possession. And this is only one area in which we could discuss like whether white privilege exists. I understand if your perspective is like, this is less of a big deal than like maybe we should shift focus onto the class war instead of focusing on these racial disparities. But yeah, I just push back on the idea that it doesn't exist.
The class war is why white people and like poor white people, middle class white people, poor Black people, middle class Black people should, and other people of color as well, should work together. But it is the racial privileges that are preventing even that from happening, because rich white people are aiming, basically, they're aiming for racial separation. They want us to be focused more on the shit down here than taking them down. So ultimately,
of course,
taking down the wealthy classes of people and making them contribute to society and not letting them exploit people would solve a lot of racial issues too. But that doesn't mean white privilege doesn't exist.
So, okay, I believe, I forgot your name, I'm sorry. Lex?
Jimmy.
Correct?
Luxander.
Yeah,
okay.
Lux with a U.
Yeah, sorry. But, what, fuck, you just said something that I had a comment about, but I forgot. Fuck. You had said, shit, 1 second, let me think.
While you're doing that, did you also get a gun charge?
No, I had no gun charge. I'm not that.
Well, Jack in chat, then you owe us a $5 super chat because you said $5 says he also got a gun charge. Sorry, I'll make the rules.
No, I was a transporter. I transported it in bulk mainly. I forgot what she. I'm so sorry.
They.
I don't know your pronouns.
They. But
okay.
What I said was that like the fact that these drugs are illegal in the first place has to do with like taking some of these things from Black communities, commodifying them, adding cocaine to them is what we used to do, and then like making it illegal for those communities of color to distribute these medicines. And that has like resulted in this situation now where we're policing Black and brown communities more for these things. And just the entire fact that the stuff is illegal in the first place is a matter of racial disparities.
Yeah. Okay. That's what it was. Yes. So do you, maybe you do, maybe you don't. Do you know about the crack epidemic that happened in Chicago back in, I would say, maybe around the early 2000s?
Yes.
I'm not specifically familiar, but I do know that crack gets more, they crack down on it more in terms of the judicial system, like whereas cocaine is like not policed in the same way.
Yes. So my kind of point is the major crack epidemic that happened back in like the early 2000s was a major thing that happened mainly to Black people, mainly in Black dominant neighborhoods. And this is where I come to the point of saying it's not really about the privileges anymore. It's about the class system, because at that point, the people that were pushing the crack in those neighborhoods were the elites, were the top 1%, were the rich, the people that were in power, that are still in power now. I don't see a world where we can genuinely all get along if we don't go back to maybe 2008 when we flooded Wall Street, when we were trying to figure out, hey, where did all this money go? Where is all of our money? Why are we losing money in these stock systems that we were all guaranteed that were going to go crazy? And then it all fell. It all just fell. Where did all the money go?
I would just say that as white people or as white passing people, it's going to be really hard to build coalition if we refuse to acknowledge the racialized reality that other people who we want to be on our side deal with.
Yeah, Jonathan, you can try and say like fundamentally this is what's more important or what is behind the privilege issue. but you don't want to say it's not an issue.
Like, whenever the privilege issue first came into place, who mainly put, like, well, I shouldn't say who, but, like, what powers mainly pushed that in the first place to even create that issue?
This is such an abstract question that there's like 900 answers to it.
I mean, obviously the answer is that people with money have power. People with money have power. The white people are the ones who enslaved the black people. They were the ones in control of the commerce. They were the ones who had all the money. You know, even when slavery ended, they created like special plantation money so that the people couldn't leave the areas and they were functionally still slaves. Like, I get it. I get that money is always tied into this, but it's money plus white supremacy. You know, like you can't deny that that's part of it. When Irish and Italians, like you would go to a bar and they would have a sign that said no Irish, no Italians, no blacks. Like that even whiteness was in a hierarchy in that way. So like all I'm saying is like I agree with you that the class system is our biggest problem. The disparities with finances are our biggest problem, but that we are not going to be able to win any allies in racialized communities unless we acknowledge their lived reality. And their lived reality is they get killed more often, they are policed more heavily, they get pulled over more often, they have less opportunities, and they literally just have it harder. And if you can't level with people and go, yes, that's fucked up, and it is specifically because of your race, then, you know, it's going to be really difficult to get them on whatever, you know, class thing you're trying to get them on.
Jonathan, let me put it this way. Let's say all the people of color and all the white people who are not the elite band together. Yeah, we can suspend lines there, babe. Let's say they all band together and they start working toward taking down the elite. Is it not going to be the case that the elite will then go, okay, we see what's happening, so we're going to give opportunities to just the white people to break up your band. We're going to mask it as though it's for everybody else. You might recognize this from certain tax things that happened in the last, like, 12 years. Not 12, the Trump ones. That they're literally going to say, like, oh, we see you guys have band together, so clearly we need to bring some more of you people closer to us and show that we are benefiting this community more. And will they not separate those benefits by race? Will they not try to bribe the white people to leave the movement? Because that's literally what they already do. And so, Jonathan, it may be that it's not the overarching problem, but it is their number one tool. And if you take a gun away from a robber, then they're just John. No, your name is John. Then they're just Todd, and you can beat the shit out. You didn't rob someone too, did you?
Understand.
I'm trying to get more super chats. Okay. I'm just kidding.
But I haven't. But it's difficult.
Listen, that drug life. I'll tell you this, Jack. I'm not gonna be confessing to anything, but I'll tell you, I am in every way white, both visibly and genetically, and there's no way to mistake me for anything but white. And I think you might be a felon if everything you've told me is correct. I've probably done worse. But I'm going to just say that sort of in the same way that Obama one time admitted to doing cocaine. I did cocaine with Obama. Okay, guys, I'm sorry. Put me in prison about it. What's that?
There's a comment about Obama. Obama admitted to doing a lot of shit. But I
just remember weed and coke. I don't remember.
I don't even remember the coke thing. That's news to me.
Really?
Yeah. I don't remember anything more than weed or coke, though.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you talked about like doing microdosing mushrooms one time on Twitter.
Oh, well.
Is that more like I support researching microdosing mushrooms, or he said microdosing is a thing that like millennials invented a word for?
Oh, fuck yeah, I know.
So I don't know how common that shit was. Yeah,
it might have been fake, but I remember seeing a tweet about it. That's besides the point.
Well, I gotta look this up now. Did Obama microdose mushrooms? Because that would be. I don't like Obama, but that would get him points for me. By the way, shout out to Jack, who then did super chat $5 after he said $5. Got it. Yeah, sorry, no credible evidence on that. I want to say he admitted in his biography to trying cocaine. I hope so, because otherwise, on Black History Month, I'm going to look like shit.
It is Black History. Oh, shit.
Jovan keeps asking me for Black History Month presents. He goes, you know what would make a good Black History Month present? Those don't exist. Those are not a thing.
I think you should send him one.
In his memoir, I read his memoir, so I was pretty sure that was that. Yes, he said he used marijuana, alcohol, and maybe a little blow.
Oh, okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah, which, I mean, as a guy who's done a little blow, multiply however much blow a person admits to doing by, like, it's more than cigarettes. You know how they say double whatever a person says they smoke in a day? It's about 40x on cocaine. Unless they say I tried it once and it made me crazy. That's often true. That's often true.
That's something I never did. I never dealt with that shit.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fun based on what they say about it.
We're gonna move to the next call, Jonathan. But it was a good conversation. I just disagree with your framing, but I think you were kind of meeting somewhere in agreement there. Overall, Jonathan, I hope the lesson you learned was don't do drugs, and if you're gonna do drugs, don't do them in Kentucky. I'll see you
later, man.
I thank you for the call. Genuinely, I do enjoy seeing your guys' perspectives, even if we don't agree or come to a middle ground or whatever.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks, Jonathan.
Thanks, man.
Well, I was thinking earlier the way when I was coming up with like fake last names, like what if one of these is his last name? It's gonna be so like it'll seem like I'm doxing him.
Yeah.
Let's see. I should pee first. Okay. I'm gonna pee and then we can do the last two in either order.
Okay, sounds good. It's just me and you, chat. It's just us. It's our little intimate. This is the most captive viewers I think I've ever had just by myself. My stream gets about 100 viewers nowadays. There's 1,500 people here. By the way, if you haven't hit the like button, it's free. What are you doing? If you're on your phone, you know what you can do? Boop, boop, double tap the screen and it likes. Oh my God, just do it, okay? Also, if you super chat, I get part of that money. So, that's always a good thing for you to do. Drugs are kind of dumb. Listen, drugs being illegal is dumb, Also, this is such a bullshit thing. I just have to say, I moved to Oregon and Oregon had decriminalized drugs, like basically all, obviously like marijuana is still legal here, but they decriminalized like psychedelics and all this kind of stuff. But what they were supposed to do, they were supposed to, at the same time that law passed, that law also required them to create more like safe usage locations. And like a bar where you drink alcohol is a safe usage location. And like, in places it's illegal to drink out in public on the street, but it's legal and safe to do it in a regulated environment. So they were supposed to create more of these regulated environments for people to like safely use drugs that they had just decriminalized, but they didn't do that. This thing that they were required to do, they were required to create safe locations and provide like assistance for people who are trying to get off of drugs. They didn't do that. And so because they didn't do that, they declared the decriminalization of those drugs a failure. And it went to a vote. And because obviously, there's actually quite a bit of Republican assholes here who are like, oh my God, I'm just seeing people just doing drugs in public now because they don't have a safe place to do it. It's been decriminalized. So they're like, okay, I can do this in public, and we're talking about homeless people who literally don't have a place to do it out of public anyway. So they're doing the drugs and then they're now been illegal again. It's now illegal again because of the fact that they just didn't do any of the harm reduction stuff that they were supposed to do. So it's a great classic example of like, you really need to pay attention when folks are talking about like, oh, that failed, like, oh, the experiment of decriminalizing these drugs failed. And like, oh, they just made our streets worse and they just made everything gross. Like it's specifically because there was a failure to follow up. And like, so questionable is like, where did the funding go? Because there was supposed to be funding specifically going toward safe usage locations and things like that. So, don't listen when they tell you like, oh, it was a failure in Oregon to decriminalize the drugs. A lot of these things, it's like, obviously you can have limitations on like doing other crimes while being on drugs, right? Like that would make sense. Or like driving while being on drugs. But like the drugs themselves, if people are doing them in a safe location, whether that's at their home or if it's at the equivalent of a bar, where they're just like, providing a safe place to do them, why is it illegal? Why is it illegal to seek, functionally, it's a means of seeking alternative medicine for people who are using cannabis. And otherwise, like, it's just a thing that you're doing to your own body. So why are they illegal in the first place? Hello. We were talking about Oregon's decriminalization thing that they did. Yeah.
I was putting rice in to cook after I peed.
Hell yeah, dude.
Basmati. Listen, there are some people who wanted to point out something, and I kind of, I don't know if apology is the right word. I don't like doing the whole like, sorry, I said an insensitive thing, but I put on threads. I don't know why so many people pretend that basmati isn't the best rice. And some people pointed out that has some cultural insensitivities to it. Rice is a big part of a lot of people's cultures. And to that, I just want to say, you're all wrong. And if it's a racial thing, those races are wrong. Basmati's the best rice. Okay.
It has the least, what is it?
Starch.
No, not starch. There's some toxic thing that gets into rice very easily. And basmati rice has like the least of it.
I'm going to be honest.
It's arsenic.
If you told me it had the most,
you would still eat it. I know you would. I know you would.
If that's what made it taste good. The way my widow's peak looks like it's not, like it becomes like a stringy thing when I tie my hair back.
It's almost like it's flattening out.
It looks like it only exists on this side of my head and not this side, but because it's being pulled to the side right now. So it's like odd shaped. As my partner got to see full face of the other day, I have a little bit of dysmorphia, and it exhibits itself in weird ways. Because I look at that and go, "Oh my God, I'm bald." Anyway, Joe in New Jersey, you're on the line with Jimmy and Luxander. How are you, Joe?
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, hello, Joe. How are you?
I'm great.
Good. And how old are you, Joe?
I'm 19.
And did you vote in 2024?
I don't think that's illegal.
You don't think that's legal? Were you not yet 18?
Nope.
So your birthday is in like December?
Sure. Let's go with
When's
that.
your birthday, Joe?
I don't feel comfortable giving out this information.
What month is it?
I don't want to say.
Why, Joe? You're in New Jersey. Do you think if we know who Joe, I have your phone number. If I wanted to dox you, I could dox you. Just say, I'm not going to dox you. I've been doing this show for 7 years. It's reliant on us not doxing people. I'm just curious when your birthday is.
Please stop.
What?
Oh. Don't
What is he
dox
saying?
me.
I think he said, please stop.
Don't dox me, please.
Joe, I can hear that you're trying to hold in a laugh. So which person from before were you?
A laugh? I'm asking you to stop doxing me.
That's not what doxing is, Joe.
What is doxing?
Well, Joe, it would be
It's when you
offering
reveal personal information.
It's when you reveal personal information which a person could use to actually figure out like who you actually are and what month you were born. Ain't it? For example, Jimmy Snow's not my legal name, and yet you knowing my birthday is March 5th, 1990 is not going to help you much.
All right,
I
so
even doubt Joe is your real name. What's that?
Let's say it's in December.
Well, I don't believe it is now, Joe.
Why not?
I don't even believe you're 19. I think this is a troll call.
Why would I troll you? I've been waiting on the line for, what, 15 minutes now? Why would I troll?
Bro, somebody literally waited on the line for an hour and a half to just play a clip back of Ari saying the word KNICKERS, which is a word for pants, but I don't need that done to me. Somebody wait. So as far as Joe, you're not exactly beating the charges so far. And also you're calling in to say that you're allegedly going to change our opinion on Donald Trump because you believe Donald Trump, the challenges Donald Trump is facing, no one else could even bear to face them. Is the challenge where does his challenge of being exposed as a pedophile fall?
Well, okay, that's a strong start.
Yeah.
Do you have any evidence that he was a pedophile?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, can you say it?
Sure. Millions of pages from the Epstein files contain a lot of information that suggests, at the very least, he was aware of a pedophile racket. And the reasonable conclusion of that is because he was a participant, because the depth of his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein, it doesn't really make sense, their closeness and their tendency to be run in those circles. And, you know, like the birthday card he wrote him and all that sort of shit, that it's just an extremely reasonable conclusion. Even if you want to say I don't have a video of him fucking a kid, the FBI might, I don't. We can also definitively say that knowing about Jeffrey Epstein and knowing, because he's the president, had access to it, the people that exposure would harm, he also went out of his way to protect pedophiles. So he is at minimum a demonstrative pedophile protector. He literally tried to obstruct the release of the Epstein files, and is quite, I would go ahead and put the odds at likely a pedophile.
There's also at least one lawsuit from a woman who claimed that he had sex with her when she was 13. So
then there was that time
that's not a woman then.
Then there was that time.
She is a woman now. She is currently, when she sued, she was a woman. Can you have an honest conversation, Joe? This is why we don't think you're being serious.
Joe's not beating the troll charges. Joe, have you called in before under another name?
Nope, never. First
Never.
time calling.
First time. Long time fan though, right?
Nope. I just found the stream.
So Joe, you said you're going to change our opinion on Donald Trump. Give it to me.
Can you vote for Donald Trump?
Can I vote for Donald Trump?
Please. Please.
He can't run for president again.
This is not beating the troll charges.
If he does, but if he does, can you please vote for him?
Why?
Like, because I'm asking nicely and I'm saying please.
Oh yeah, no, definitely not. Definitely not for that. Joe, so now let me respond to your, you asked a question earlier. I want to ask it kind of back to you. Why did you wait 50 minutes on the line for an unserious troll call? Try to avoid using slurs.
To be honest, I would never say a slur, personally. I think that's very unprofessional. I would never. And me personally, I wouldn't consider this a troll call or whatever you're trying to say.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, like, me personally, I would call this my tribute to Donald Trump. Like, me personally.
By asking us, please vote for Trump.
So are you faking it from the left or the right? Are you, like, let's drop the character now. Are you a legitimately person on the right just calling in to waste time and be silly? Or are you a person on the left going, I think it would be fun if I played a character that they could, like, point out how dumb MAGA is, as though we need fake MAGA to make that point.
What's MAGA?
Will you just tell me, Joe, whether you're from the left or the right? I'm curious which type of troll you are. Just tell me the truth. Okay.
He's literally neurodivergent and a minor.
Emberly in New Zealand. Emberly in New Zealand is a theist. You are on the line with Jimmy and Luxander. How are you?
Hello, I'm all right. How are you?
Hey.
Just peachy. Are you there? Have we lost you?
Yep, I'm here. I was
Excellent.
half expecting you to ask questions about my age and stuff, but
Oh yeah. Emberly, how old are you?
27.
Emberly, you're 27. Okay. Now, you're not eligible to vote for Donald Trump, but if you could have in the 2024 election, would you have voted for Donald Trump, Kamala Harris?
Kamala Harris.
Okay. Emberly's pronouns are she, her. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much did you like Jacinda Brown? Brown.
Jacinda?
Mm-hmm.
I might be confused because I didn't think that was the surname of the president, Prime Minister. But
oh, what was her? What was? Sorry, did I get her? What was her last name then? I thought it was Jacinda Brown. Jacinda Ardern. You're right. I don't know why I got that mixed up. I have personal reasons for liking her. On a scale of 1 to 10, what did you think of Jacinda? Obviously, she left in 2023, but what'd you think of her up until then? Scale of 1 to 10.
I think she was doing a decent job as politicians go.
Yeah, I think so too. I would have traded her easily. I really like an ex-Mormon, you know. I just really like an ex-Mormon, and she's an ex-Mormon, so I like that. You didn't score her, though. Scale of 1 to 10, 7, 8, something like that.
I mean, are any politicians higher than like a 4?
Yeah, these are relative scales. So a high 4, because that's as good as they can get. What do you think of Luxon now?
Luxon, I'll be honest, I haven't really heard of anything he's been doing. It seems like he's just like, okay, no, there's a whole lot of stuff around the stuff he was doing earlier with courting some of the more problematic politicians and
okay. I guess you're calling in on more of a religious thing anyway, but I just wanted to get a little idea because we do so much political shit. Because even, I mean, a lot of people won't even understand. Like, Christopher Luxon is I think that party's called the National Party, which is a right, it's like center right party. So definitely to the right of Jacinda Ardern, but that would still be like pretty much where Joe Biden was. So like their right versus our right is quite different. All right. Well, Emberly, you've got a theistic point to make. Go ahead.
So you did a talk recently-ish about no harmless faith, and near the end you made a comment that that progressive Abrahamic religions are also problematic.
Correct.
Because foundationally, if you're to accept, I'm not certain I understood your point because I thought
I can restate it.
Give me a moment. I thought I had a answer almost immediately, and I wouldn't have thought other people would have problems with it if I understood your point. So I would like to restate your point, and then I would like to try to answer it if I still think I can.
Yeah, so for people who are listening, we did put out the clip, but it was a speech I gave for LineCon Online Live, of which there is a new one this Saturday, and I will be giving a speech on that one as well as Aaron Ra and Eric of Skeptics and Scoundrels. In fact, I'm going to be doing mine on a defense of uncivil discourse. We often are defending civil discourse, and I'm going to be defending uncivil discourse. And anyway, the speech I gave last time was on the concept that there's no such thing as harmless faith. And when it comes to specifically progressive Christian beliefs, I don't know necessarily, I don't remember what, I could do a very long one on just the progressive one, but the shortest version of this would be essentially progressive Christianity is not really defensible, except that I like it more. But if you are going to tell a person that it is acceptable to believe in progressive faith because progressive Christianity is good, it's less offensive to, for me, for example, secular humanism, then you are declaring that something is true on the basis of whether or not it is positive or not. But something being positive does not establish that something is true. So then if we're going to keep a biblical faith around and say on faith, the good things in here are true, and the bad things still on faith are untrue. When somebody comes along and you raise them in that religion and they read the parts that you say are bad and your only justification is based on faith, you're never going to eradicate large populations of people accepting those bad things because they will be able to see if it's just faith again. And they'll be able to say, actually, I'm seeing an opportunity here to be a piece of shit and say that faith defends. And so essentially, progressive Christianity is only advantageous to people who otherwise have a sort of propensity for secular humanism in the first place. And so it's kind of like you're actually going to reduce the number of good people if the alternative, if you're holding Christianity up, because secular humanism covers everything a progressive Christian could need without having an untrue belief underneath that is accepted on the basis of faith. If you can accept anything based on faith, then you should accept nothing based on faith. That's kind of like multiple of the points I might have made. I don't necessarily remember the specific one I did.
Okay. I guess maybe I'm wondering if there's it's so now I'm feeling like all of the things I'm trying to say are fighting each other to get out my brain.
I understand.
None of them are making out the door.
Do you want me to ask you some questions and see if that helps get you there?
Sure, I'll answer some questions if I can.
Are you a progressive Christian?
I'm headed that way. I'm some amount of deconstructing, and I'm not entirely sure where I'm going to end up. And if no faith is harmless, then I should just ditch the whole thing and not bother trying to actually pull it apart first.
Yeah, I mean, pulling it apart isn't a thing you have to put in a certain order. So the thing is if you're realizing you right now don't necessarily have a validated reason, like something evidentiary, something that is the basis upon which you might accept a scientific principle to believe in God, I don't see what the harm is to go back to. You don't have to say God therefore doesn't exist or that no faith has some truth in it too. You just have to pull back to, I don't know if that information is out there, so let me go neutral. So right now I'm neutral. I don't have a good reason to believe in God. I don't have a good reason to believe in Christianity or whatever else. Now that I'm neutral, I'll go seek those things. I'll go parse those things. I'll go pull those things apart. Certainly if somebody is already Christian, I see a value in progressive Christianity being something they can head to, but I internally am hoping it's a stepping stone on their way out the door. But if you're saying you're considering skipping that stepping stone and just going straight to a secular belief system, then I would want to just advocate for secular humanism, because I don't think everybody needs that. I don't think I ever had a progressive Christian phase. I went Mormon, a short term as a Christian, and then I was just done. I was just out. So I didn't stop off at a progressive form of Christianity. But yeah, I mean, Emberly, the basis is, if you can accept anything based on faith, if you can accept everything based on faith, should you accept anything based on faith? Or should you look for something other than faith? I'm fine with you believing Christianity if Christianity is true. The number one reason I don't want you to believe in Christianity isn't that it's harmful. The number one reason I don't want you to believe in Christianity is that it's untrue.
And yet the untruth of Christianity is it's unfalsifiable, right? That's the whole point. It's the untruth of Christianity is just as unprovable as its truth.
I don't agree. No. I think Christianity is demonstrably untrue. There are certain magical claims about Christianity that one can say, but Christianity as a tradition makes a lot of historical and hard claims. And to my dearest producer, could you go and take the cold groceries that have just been delivered and put them in the fridge? Sorry, my producer is also my partner, and I just got a notification that our groceries have arrived. Okay, Emberly, I think there's a lot of claims. So there are certain apologetics you can't engage with, and ironically, a lot of Christian apologetics is more deism apologetics. But as far as the Bible has claims in it that aren't unfalsifiable, like Noah's flood. And Noah's flood can be proven to have not occurred. And so you can falsify the Bible as a historical record. Now, if people want to apologetically play with it and go, yeah, it wasn't ever meant to be real history, sure, but then why should one take it more seriously than Harry Potter? You can learn lessons from it, right? You can learn how to there's certain good things about being kind to people, and the Good Samaritan's kind of a good story. You can learn how to write super racist names if you're checking out Harry Potter. There's lessons you can learn from them, but you don't have to then go, it's like the truth. And I think you can falsify that certainly as a book of history, And then Jesus Christ is literally the story of a magician. Magic has never been shown to be possible. So in the real world, with the reality and what we actually can estimate is possible, at best or at worst, you can say there is no good reason to believe any of the story of Jesus Christ. And at best, you can say some of the things that are attributed to Jesus Christ are impossible by every natural declaration. And saying that it's like, it would just be special pleading to say, yeah, but maybe in just this one time it isn't. Until it's proven to be possible, your best practical approach would be, it's not possible until you show me it is.
I mean, I guess it kind of is special pleading, but like, I already believe in magic, right? So
yeah, you shouldn't.
The flood wasn't magic. Who's to say all this other stuff wasn't magic?
The flood doesn't even claim to be magic. I mean, God's will does, but there's nothing in that claim about it. And by the way, it's not just that the flood would have to be magic, the flood itself. It's that then the magic would have had to have gone out of its way to cover up that the flood happened. God would have had to have made the decision, even though my book is a book of times that apparently if you were alive here, you didn't have to rely on faith. I would do the magic in front of you. And yet some of you still didn't believe. It's a weird detail that he would literally do stuff in front of people and people would still be like, man, I don't know about this guy. The prophets were doing that kind of shit all the time too. You didn't have to have any faith. So God, when it comes to there, doesn't mind everybody seeing all the proof in the world. But when he's doing the flood, he not only does the flood, but then goes, I don't want the people who read about this in the modern era in the 2000s to actually have proof of the flood. So I'm now going to rearrange fossils and geography and all this sort of shit to make it not just look like literally eliminate the possibility of physical reality that there was a flood. I mean, that's a God that's a deceiver God. At that point, go pick up Loki and he's just trying to trick everybody. I don't know if we've lost Emberly.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
No, sorry, I'm here. I just take time to start talking. Sorry. So what is if I can just say I'm gonna absorb that and maybe think about it. Can I move on to something else?
Sure.
What is philosophy compared to faith? Compared to this idea of faith?
Yeah, it's a hard question to engage. It's once again so abstract. It's like,
I think philosophies deal with tangible moral quandaries, and like they do both engage with morals in a way. Like I think faith does engage with morality and philosophy engages with morality. I think philosophy is more about like, well, so-and-so thought that this was the way that we should view the world or that we should do morality. And like, we're going to now put that to the test and like really pull it to its absolute limits. Whereas faith, like, I think faith inherently is like, believe this thing because someone told you to. Like philosophy, it almost feels like it's diametrically opposed in that way, because with philosophy, you're meant to constantly interrogate what the fathers of the principles have put forth, and that you're meant to stretch them to their limits and like ascertain for yourself whether like you want to follow Kant or whether you want to follow some other philosopher. Whereas faith kind of, at least, you know, as somebody who hasn't been a religious individual since I was a child, like it seems to me as though faith is more like, I'm going to prescribe you a moral philosophy, and if you don't follow it, then there is a threat of like severe punishment as a result. And that, you know, it's subject to some amount of interpretation, but it does not invite interrogation. It does not invite criticism and questioning.
To me, it's almost like asking, what is a square in relation to a parallelogram? Well, a square is a rectangle, which is a type of parallelogram. And to me, it's like faith is an epistemology and epistemology is a philosophy, or like is a branch of philosophy. Like the way how you obtain knowledge or how you justify it in reality, because I don't actually think that faith leads a person to obtain knowledge. But yeah, faith seems like it'd be a subset of epistemology, and epistemology is a branch of philosophy. So it's kind of, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like when people say like, well, what about science versus philosophy? And it's like, well, science is a philosophy, like it's a branch of philosophy called science. It has to do with verificationism and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I say it's like a tough question to answer, because it's quite subsetted.
Yeah, all right. Because I think that's where my brain was kind of going with the original question of no harmless faith, is whether it doesn't matter that whether faith is scientific or not, because it kind of inherently is outside of that, in the same way that some philosophies are just not really scientific. Or am I going too far with that?
Well, I don't think every philosophy means to be speaking to reality or means to be speaking to, I guess they do. It's kind of tough, because science is a specific branch of, like, you wouldn't necessarily, you engage logic, for example, to do science, but branches of logic and science aren't uniformly overlapped. Mathematics is technically its own branch of study as well. And so it's kind of more of like, when it comes to, I think the branch that you need to be focused on is epistemology. What is the epistemology of somebody who believes in this moral system or this system of reality, explanation of reality, versus somebody else's? And there's other things to evaluate as well, but starting with epistemology, I think you and I can agree that there would be epistemologies that are really stupid. Like, you wouldn't trust a child who figures out what to do with the basis of literally rolling a D20, and some of the numbers are assigned to shoot the problem with a gun. But that's what Republicans do in America. So it's like, that's a joke, but certain epistemologies are obviously stupid. And then certain ones might be, I don't want to be unkind to you because you still are figuring out where you are, but it's possible that some epistemologies are also really stupid, but have been normalized. So because they are accepted so broadly, seeing that they're really stupid is hard. And I think this is where the arrogance of atheism starts to show up, because once you do become disillusioned with faith, you start to see how dumb the concept of faith is, and it's hard to not broadcast that to other people, and it's easy to forget that you used to fall for that yourself too. And so I try to be less of that kind of a douchebag on the internet, because I have that, my philosophy is there, but for the grace of circumstance go I. If my life had been a little bit different, I'd probably still be a hardcore MAGA Mormon defender. And so it's kind of like, you need to know, are you engaging in something that's only considered not stupid because it's popular?
I would add that as far as like choosing a philosophy, like part of the problem that I have with a faith-based philosophy, and why I agree with the sentiment that there is no harmless faith, is that it asks you to continue in your belief in the face of, like, the philosophy of science, for example, like where we care about whether there's physical evidence for something, the idea that you should look at that and go, nah, and, make elaborate claims that, like, well, the dinosaur bones were put there. And, like, I don't think you're a young earth creationist, but that is a faith-based belief system under the umbrella of Christianity, that there is, like, there is no evidence that the flood happened, but we're going to continue to believe in it anyway. And the idea that you can just be like, well, there was a magical explanation for why there's no evidence for, any like sediments that have been moved around, like the overwhelming amount of evidence that there would physically be if something like a global flood had occurred. So, like, the reason why I dislike faith-based philosophies is because it puts you at odds with reality. It's like, we do not live in the same reality. If you will look at objective facts and go, well, I was told different, and so I'm not going to investigate, or I'm not going to be curious about those things. So it's like, it puts you in a frame of mind where there's a willingness to believe what you were told because you were told it, rather than like going through the like learning of critical thinking skills and, you know, finding out how to observe the evidence and like making your own assertions of like what seems more likely or less likely, that it just shuts that part of your brain down completely. And that's, you know, I would advocate that that is bad for society as a whole. And it leads toward, you know, in my country, this authoritarianism that is eroding people's rights. And it increases this like, yes, tell me what to do, daddy. I'll lick the boot, daddy. You know, I would rather people be curious and skeptical and develop analytical skills. And I think faith kills that in people.
All right. If I am still Christian, then I am a young earth creationist, just so you know.
Oh, okay.
We can fix you.
Thank you for all of your answers so far. I'm going to probably re-listen to this call and, you know, marinate over all these things in my brain.
Excellent. Thanks, Amberly.
Yeah. Thank you both.
Cheers.
Yeah. Later.
I have to address a couple things in chat. First of all, I wouldn't have it any other way. My mods are also pedantic. Calasia pointing out that I called it the arrogance of atheism. I should have added the word perceived arrogance of atheism. In the light, it is hard to accept atheism against faith without seeming arrogant, because everybody else thinks faith is a virtue. And so when you're like, what the fuck? How? It is very hard to not give off arrogance, and certainly to not, and it's very easy to forget. But again, if I had non-pedantic mods, what's even the fucking point? And then somebody else said, you guys sound like Nietzsche fans, and only people who know his biographical works will get this. That drunk? But I like saying that more about Jesus. Nietzsche famously got drunk in college, and well, as a student, college is a crazy thing to say, but as a student, got drunk and like freaked out about it. Have you ever known there's this kid I went to high school with, and she tried alcohol at a party one time, freaked out, and her parents enrolled her in AA.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah. She was crazy. Anyway, you can't say first of all 2:45 into a stream. That's true. Also pedantic, but that's true. Anyway, so he got drunk. I think he got in trouble for it. And then he had to, I don't know if he had to or if he wrote, I think it kind of gave off. He wrote home like super apologetic that he had drank. And then I think from then on was pretty anti-booze, which the funny thing is, I don't like alcohol at all. Perhaps it's because I've had a number of abusive alcoholic partners, especially one that, and perhaps it's because I'm autistic and I don't, you know, a lot of people drink because it unlocks a comfortability. That's what I don't like.
You're like, I like my inhibitions.
Getting more socially comfortable, because the thought that you should ever speak 9 inches away from me, like,
that's too drunk. There's levels.
That's not that drunk. This is too drunk. People legitimately, first of all, some of it's because it's loud in the bar, but a little bit of alcohol, and they stop talking to your ear and they try to talk to your face in your ear. And it doesn't take that much alcohol. Up way too close is what you're talking about. Just the regular closeness that alcohol unlocks, and the amount more that they want to make eye contact and talk directly to you at all in the first place. Like, I'm very comfortable with putting on airs.
I only drink at home with my husband. This is why I've avoided all of these issues.
Maybe, but I'm not there to evaluate whether or not, because I
don't mind him being in my face. Like, that's fine.
I'm so judgy about it. I'd look for reasons why you guys drinking alone. I'd be like, nope, because that was a problem. That I'm honestly probably slightly bigoted toward alcohol.
I thought also that you were too sick to drink for quite a while
I can't drink either. I still can't. But I even while I was sick, during some depression times before I left Denver. Was drinking a little bit more than I should have anyway. Yeah, I really shouldn't be drinking at all and prohibited from it. But
I'm gonna find out tomorrow whether I should be drinking at all. I'm so excited to finally get a diagnosis.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I find alcohol in reasonable amounts probably creates tremendous social advantages for people.
Yeah,
and I'm not sure that it is worth the cost.
There's a reason we evolved it, though. Like, we and several other species have evolved the use of alcohol, so it's interesting to speculate into.
But it is also like a lot of that, not a lot, but some amount of that is because water wasn't safe. But water's safe now. Like the development of barley alcohol literally comes through, I believe, Egyptian history of like, yeah, we fed people. As soon as they weren't drinking milk, they drank basically beer because beer was safe to drink and water wasn't.
It's also nutritionally beneficial, like really heavy yeasty beers. Like it's like a breakfast in and of itself, like literally nutritional.
Right. But if you take the alcohol out, it's more nutritional.
Sure. Like yeah. I'm not going to argue that like literally any amount of alcohol is unhealthy.
It's bad for you. Yeah.
That's where we're at. Anyway, are we reading super chats today or no?
I don't know. Maybe. Let's see.
I don't know. I haven't decided.
Fan funding. For some reason it's not showing me. Well, Paul said Lux looking good. Sent $100 for that. Says all Mad Max.
Oh yeah, that's not showing up in my fan funding menu. That's so weird, but I see it at the top. Thank
you. Olivia says, gonna say it again. I like the channel poster Jimmy more than actual Jimmy. You and me both. Also, are you, I have to look this up because it would be really funny and also unfortunate. Holy shit. Olivia, can you stop buying memberships, please? Wait, I guess I don't know. Olivia, will you tell me how much, if you're in chat still, will you tell me how much it charged you to buy 50 memberships for people? Because if I'm correct, I guess I don't know actually if I'm correct. If it was 5,000 Argentinian pesos, then you're buying $100 worth of memberships and it's somehow converting to $3.47, like you're for $3.50 essentially. So if you would stop doing that because they apparently do not have a correct conversion method, I'm still willing to read your thing, but let's not give those things away for pennies, you know, but I don't know. Olivia, will you tell me how much in pesos it cost you for those 50 memberships? They're like, yeah, I know they're $1 in American money. But is that what they are in? They're $1 or maybe even $2. I don't remember exactly. If it was more than 5,000, then I was wrong. But that's what I thought I saw earlier was 5,000 Argentinian pesos.
That was the super chat.
What's that?
5,000 ARS in the super chat.
Yeah, that might have been what I actually saw. That might have been what was correct. Let's see.
It's like the memberships do make us money, but they also give trolls memberships and they make it hard for our mods.
Yeah. I'm just saying, if you're like wanting to support us, don't do it in the form of giving those away for the equivalent of $3. Just send a super chat for the $3 instead or whatever. 50 for $3 it bypasses a lot of the point. Megan said, as a married woman, I'm debating on changing my legal name back to my maiden name because of the risk of voter names having to match ID names. Yeah, I have to think that was just a technical reading of a proposal of the law and that would not be upheld, that they aren't really trying to use such a dumb way to repeal women voting, because that would be declared, even by this Supreme Court, would be declared anti-constitutional and would look really bad on their thing. So it's one of those things where it's like, I'm engaging still. TikTok and Instagram, it's not just that they don't engage their skepticism, a lot of these influencers. It's a lot of times they will overreact to something that probably isn't actually a problem and we should wait to see if it is, when there's lots of stuff they absolutely should be using the platform for. Anyway, what I would say to you is I actually very much doubt married people who change their last names for marriage are going to lose their ability to vote.
Although I will say that if you got married by a clergyman, you might want to double check that they actually filed the paperwork.
Yeah.
Because that happens sometimes where they just don't.
Yeah. Let's see. Did Olivia respond? Oh, I don't see Olivia. 250 euros for 50 memberships? Really? That like went the other way. I'm sorry. That sucks. But Olivia, you are awesome.
Yes,
Goat
thank you. We
status,
appreciate the
straight up.
support.
I think Olivia might have left though. Let's see. George says, is it a system that's open to abuse by equal profitability for those who sandbag? I don't know. It just sounds like redistribution without assurance of efforts. Is it a system that's open to abuse by equal profitability for those? I don't know what this is a question in direct response to. And I also don't know how to engage a channel named after the guy who killed Trayvon Martin. Unless your name just happens to also be George Zimmerman.
Oof. I had a troll in my chat yesterday. It was called Derek Chauvin. I was like, haha, you're very funny.
Well done. You're a real chauvinist. Bramley says, I'm getting rid of my testosterone and upheaving my life just so I can play chess against women, said no one ever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that could be a plan, but before I do it, first, I'm going to have to learn how to play chess. Meg says, FYI, Bill, every response you have given has done nothing except prove white privilege exists. Yeah, no shit. That was a lot.
Is there a horizontal stream for this one planned in the future? Sorry, HP Love Cats. The point of this show is to catch the vertical audience. Sorry,
okay, but also the answer technically is yes.
The stream? So, okay, does the stream go up in a horizontal fashion? Or
it will. YouTube is not giving it us. They're beta testing it with other people. We're not going to do it until we can do a simultaneous stream with combined chats where we're sending a vertical and a horizontal at the same time. Right now, we could do 2 streams at the same time, but they would be spread out. And the way we already do production, it's just kind of asking too much, and I don't want to. So within the coming months, hopefully sooner than that, YouTube is going to give us a feature that allows us to do a horizontal and a vertical stream that are the same stream, but with different feeds. Right now, we could technically do it, but it would just crop whatever the center of the video is. And on a horizontal, where we're side by side, would look, and we've checked this with science, like shit. So once we can do simultaneous, where we can send a different feed to the vertical, though it's the same stream, we will be doing that. Basically, it means that the vertical has a different stream key, but they combine the chats, the views, the monetization, all of that stuff gets combined into one. And then that will be what we do.
Fun.
And then Jack, when he said he was a man of his word, even if self-inflicted, Jack is not a welcher. Jack, I wouldn't have actually held you to it though. But I appreciate you. That's what I appreciate about you. For video watching says this caller has called the line a few times to defend slavery. Forrest crushed the call. I don't remember which caller.
It was Emberly.
Emberly defended slavery?
She's really having a hard time. Like she's working through it, you know?
She's trying though. She's putting effort in. I appreciate that about her.
Yep. Gamer Geek, thank you for the $10, says, I hate when people look at me like I'm a freak when I tell them I've never drank alcohol. Listen, I firmly believe if you have ADHD, you should not even get started. Don't drink, don't do any like nicotine, don't do any drugs. Like you are so likely to end up with addiction because of like the dopamine functionality with ADHD. Proud of you. Just don't do it.
Yeah. And if you have ADHD or autism, you might do cocaine someday and go, well, I feel normal. And that's actually also a problem. So just go get regular medications.
Yeah, just go get some methylphenidate. You'll be fine.
Wait, is this what neurotypical people feel like?
Yeah.
And it's pretty seductive.
I took a very small amount of the Ritalin I have left over from my prescription this week and was like, oh God, this is what it feels like. So I'm also going to find out if I can take Ritalin safely.
Yeah, there you go. Once you get that final D, that sounded worse than I wanted to for diagnosis. That DX.
Yeah, DX is what you were going for. Yeah.
Once you get that final dix, which is what DX seems like it spells. Anyway, once you might be able to go get the big boy drugs. Oh, the Adderalls and stuff.
Yeah,
Which
Ritalin was mine.
I thought it had a longer word. The bottle of Adderall just says amphetamine. Like that just is what it is. I thought it was like methyl prehydrosabala.
I thought it was something else, but I can't remember if I was ever on Adderall.
It's just straight up amphetamine. Good stuff. Yeah. Good stuff. Don't snort it, kids.
No. Norpflorbison, thank you for your $5. What are some areas where we don't realize we're using faith? Unrelatedly, should I check out my local universal? What do you need? Unitarian Universal Church? Is that what it is? A Unitarian Universalist? Lastly, Jim, show us your wood.
I don't have any wood here, I don't think.
Be skeptical of your GPS is one area where we kind of... Yeah, no, you have faith that the GPS is going to take you where it's going to... I've seen some dumb fucking people who've like ended up like, okay, I'm at a lake now. Be skeptical of your GPS.
Faith is... So, in a weird way, actual legitimate faith, I actually don't even believe exists. Because actual faith is the claim is that faith is spiritual apprehension. You are engaging the spirit world and somehow to reveal. And that's what people are claiming to have. And so when they say, I believe based on faith, I'm saying I believe based on basically personal revelation, communication with God, communication with ghosts, communication with my ancestors, communications with magic, with some version of that. And so truly, I don't even believe faith actually exists. Just the thing that people are claiming to be faith is trying to bypass essentially the same faculties we use to verify that the oven is hot all the way up to that evolution is a fact. And so it's hard to say. There are probably times I think the practical version of your question is, are there times we are trusting some bit of information for inadequate reasons that we should be aware of all the time? And you should basically become educated on cognitive biases, one of them being confirmation bias, and then start to look for it in your own life, because it'll be the things. You'll be committing fallacies. I probably commit the genetic fallacy a lot. And that is not, despite what it sounds like, believe it or not, genetic fallacy has nothing to do with transphobia. The genetic fallacy, doesn't it sound like it is? The genetic fallacy sounds like it would be
something
to have these genes. The genetic fallacy is, I'm dismissing that because it comes from this source. Now, that said, there's reasonable reasons to do that. I dismiss it because it comes from Newsmax is a reasonable reason. But if you then see the information presented somewhere else and continue to dismiss it, because, well, that couldn't be true because it was also reported on Newsmax, now you're really like deep into the fallacy area. And so the genetic fallacy is basically saying that's not true because of where it came from. Not saying why it's actually not true, just declaring it's untrue because of its source. If I was actually engaging in an argument, one could have accused me of the genetic fallacy for that really dumb kid who called in who wanted to to defend monarchy. And I don't think I ever engaged in the argument. I think I pretty early on said, I am choosing to end this because you're too dumb. Before we even get there, this is too dumb, you're too dumb, and this is the naive rantings of a child. And either you will grow out of it or you'll be evil and you'll be Ben Shapiro.
Thanks, Paul, for the $100 dono. Appreciate that.
Why is that one not showing up in my...
I don't see it in the thing either.
Yeah.
It was on the top, but not in the middle of it. It's like I had this issue before where some of them you could see, but I couldn't see all of them. So the fan funding menu doesn't work very well on here.
Max says, I'm originally from Argentina, so I do the same whenever I go back home. 50 memberships cost us less than $3 USD. The channel doesn't get much. It just helps to grow it, but it does bring in trolls too. Yeah, so let's stop doing that. Just send $3 if you have to send $3. Let's not buy them for 7 cents a piece. It's very kind of you. I'm sure you're getting baller status with the chat. But the thing is that probably, and every
it doesn't
time
help us nearly as much as other things that you could be doing.
And even if other people aren't going to buy it, potentially also prevents other people from also gifting, because it seems like we already got the gift thing covered to the tune of several dozen per show. I just do the super chats, Thank
you, Motodo Severin, for your $20. It has been a great night. Yeah, the 2 shows back to back is a lot of fun.
They said Lux is awesome. F you, Jimmy. Last chance to get your super chats in if you want them read out. Mountain Eucalyptus said from New Zealand, yeah, it was bad. I'm sorry. I did give the impression I defended slavery in my first call. Because I'm bad at talking, I also apologize the next time I call the line. Thanks for putting up with me. Nah, we're glad to talk to you. I'm really, and yeah, it's tricky.
Talking is hard.
I get wanting to defend the thing that you grew up with your as a core, like this is who I am and what I believe. Giving up Mormonism was... there would have been a period of time in my life where I would have thought, who am I without Mormonism? It turns out kind of badass and subpar. Okay. On the guitar. Just wait till one day I get this keyboard lit up and working.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of keyboard action going on. I got to put just a snare and a cymbal over here too. So I can do my own every now and then. That would be really funny to have a very musical debate set. Sounds actually like low key the best. Man, maybe I should prioritize something like that more. Okay.
I'm done being here.
We gotta have an outro song.
Gotta have an outro. It would have been very funny if that was the end, though. That was a really solid comedic timing, Luthien. I said, I'm tired of being here. And she said, dark.
I would have enjoyed that, too. If I had my piano, I know if it was head up, I know what I would have done, but I don't, so I can't. Are you going to participate?
Anna says, chat, don't forget, if you're not subscribed to Lux, you're transphobic. That's true. At Luxander Moss is my YouTube channel. Subscribe. Do it now.
Well, I thought by now she would have figured out to fade to black.
What's happening? Oh.
Comedic timing.